Welcome to Crimecast USA, the channel where history's darkest mysteries come to life. I'm your host, and here we dive deep into the unsolved crimes that have haunted generations, piecing together the clues, the suspects, and the chilling questions that remain unanswered. If you're a fan of true crime, historical mysteries, and stories that keep you up at night, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and join our community of sleuths as we unravel the past, one mystery at a time. Today, we're stepping into the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, in the year 1900 to uncover one of the most infamous and debated unsolved murders in American history, the murder of Mary Phagan, 1900. On April 26, 1913, 13-year-old Mary Phagan, a bright, hardworking girl with dreams bigger than the factory walls she toiled within, was found dead in the basement of the National Pencil Company. Her small body, bruised and strangled, sparked a firestorm of outrage, racial tension, and legal battles that would echo through the decades. Was her killer the factory superintendent, Leo Frank, who was convicted but later lynched in a shocking act of vigilante justice? Or did the real murderer walk free, hidden in the shadows of a city gripped by prejudice and fear? In this episode, we'll explore every detail of Mary's life, her tragic death, the investigation, the trial, the aftermath, and the lingering questions that make this case a cornerstone of American true crime history. Let's begin. The date is April 26, 1913, but let's rewind to set the stage. Atlanta, Georgia is a bustling southern city on the cusp of modernity, its population around 154,000 according to the 1910 census, its streets alive with the clatter of horse-drawn carriages, the hum of early streetcars, and the towering smokestacks of factories signaling the rise of industry in the New South. The city is a melting pot of progress and tension, where the scars of the Civil War still linger, and racial and class divides run deep. It's Confederate Memorial Day, a public holiday honoring the fallen soldiers of the Confederacy, a day of parades, picnics, and celebration for many. But for 13-year-old Mary Phagan, it's just another work day. Mary Phagan was born on June 1, 1899, in Marietta, Georgia, a small town 20 miles northwest of Atlanta, to John Phagan, a farmer, and Frances Benton, a homemaker. Mary's father died when she was just a baby, leaving her mother to raise 5 children alone. In 1906, Frances remarried a man named John William Coleman, and the family moved to East Point, a suburb of Atlanta, before settling in the working-class neighborhood of Bellwood, near the city's industrial heart. Mary, the second youngest, was a bright, cheerful girl with blue eyes, light brown hair, and a dimpled smile that lit up her room. She loved reading, playing with her siblings, and attending church at the First Methodist Episcopal Church, where her family were devout members. But life was hard for the Phagans. By age 10, Mary left school to help support her family, taking a job at a textile mill, and in early 1912, at just 12 years old, she began working at the National Pencil Company, a factory on Forsyth Street in downtown Atlanta, where she earned 7 cents an hour, about $4.20 a week in today's money, attaching metal eraser tips to pencils, a monotonous task in a noisy, dusty environment. The National Pencil Company was a 4-story brick building, its windows grimy from factory smoke, its floors creaking under the weight of machinery and workers. Owned by the National Pencil Company of New York, it employed around 100 people, many of them young girls like Mary, who worked long hours for meager wages. The factory's superintendent was Leo Max Frank, a 29-year-old Jewish man born in Cuero, Texas, and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Frank had studied mechanical engineering at Cornell University, graduating in 1906, and moved to Atlanta in 1908 to oversee the factory after working briefly in Germany. He was a slight man, about 5 feet 8 inches, with glasses, a nervous demeanor, and a reputation for being meticulous but aloof. Frank lived with his wife, Lucille Selig, 25, in a modest home on Washington Street, and was active in Atlanta's Jewish community, serving as president of the local B'nai B'rith chapter, a Jewish fraternal organization. To his employees, he was a strict but fair boss, though some later claimed he made them uncomfortable with lingering glances or inappropriate comments, a claim that would haunt him. On the morning of April 26, 1913, Mary woke early in her family's small wooden house in Bellwood, a working-class neighborhood of modest homes and dirt roads. its air thick with the scent of coal smoke and blooming magnolias. She dressed in a simple lavender dress with a white lace collar, a hand-me-down from her sister Ollie, and tied a blue ribbon in her hair, a special touch for Confederate Memorial Day. Mary had worked a short week due to a metal shortage at the factory, earning just $1.20, and needed to pick up her wages. Her mother, Frances, now 37, kissed her goodbye as Mary left at 11:30 a.m., promising to be back soon to join the family at the parade. She boarded a streetcar to downtown Atlanta, a 20-minute ride, clutching her small purse with 10 cents for the fare. Witnesses later recalled seeing her on the streetcar, her face bright with excitement, chatting with a friend about the parade. She arrived at the factory at 12:10 p.m., according to a coworker, 14-year-old Helen Ferguson, who saw her enter the building on Forsyth Street, the factory's heavy doors creaking as they closed behind her. Inside, the factory was nearly deserted due to the holiday, its usual hum of machinery replaced by an eerie quiet. Leo Frank was in his office on the second floor, finalizing payroll with a clerk, while Jim Conley, a 29-year-old African-American janitor with a history of petty theft and drinking, was sweeping the floors. Another employee, a night watchman named Newt Lee, 50, was expected to arrive later for his shift. Mary climbed the stairs to Frank's office to collect her wages, a small envelope with $1.20 in coins. Frank later testified he handed her the money, asked if she needed the metal for her job, and that she replied no before leaving his office around 12:15 p.m. That was the last confirmed sighting of Mary Phagan alive. When Mary didn't return home by 3 p.m., her stepfather, John Coleman, grew worried. The parade had come and gone, its marching bands and waving flags a distant memory, and Mary's absence was glaring. Coleman went to the factory, arriving around 4 p.m., but found the doors locked and no one inside. He assumed Mary had gone to a friend's house and returned home, reassuring Frances, though unease lingered. That night, at 3 a.m. on April 27th, Newt Lee, the night watchman, made a grisly discovery while patrolling the factory basement, a dark, damp space filled with coal dust, machinery parts, and discarded pencil shavings. Lee found Mary Phagan's body near the coal furnace, her small frame crumpled in the dirt, her lavender dress torn and stained with soot, her face bruised and blackened from coal dust, a deep gash on her scalp, and a cord, later identified as packing twine from the factory, tightly knotted around her neck, the cause of death determined as strangulation. Her hands were bound loosely with a strip of her own petticoat, her undergarments were torn, and there were signs of a possible sexual assault, though the coroner's report was inconclusive due to the condition of the body. 2 cryptic notes were found near her, scrawled on factory paper, one reading, "Man, that Negro hired down here did this. I went to make water and he pushed me down that hole, a long, tall Negro black, that who it was." And the other, "He said he would love me and land down play like Night Witch did it, but that long, tall black Negro did by his slef." The notes pointed to a black man, but their strange wording and grammar raised questions. Lee, horrified, ran to the factory phone and called the Atlanta Police Department, his voice trembling as he reported the murder. Police arrived at 3:45 a.m., led by Detective John Black, 38, a gruff veteran of the Atlanta Police Department, and Sergeant L.S. Dobbs, 45, known for his methodical approach. The scene was chaotic. Officers trampled the dirt floor, smudging potential footprints, and curious factory workers, alerted by the commotion, crowded the entrance, their whispers adding to the confusion. Mary's body was taken to P.J. Bloomfield's mortuary on Peachtree Street, where Dr. John Harris, 50, the county coroner, performed an autopsy at 7 a.m. Harris confirmed strangulation as the cause of death, noting the cord had been tied so tightly it left deep marks on Mary's neck, and the gash on her head suggested she'd been struck with a blunt object, possibly a pipe found nearby, though it was never conclusively linked. Her stomach contents showed she'd eaten cabbage and bread around 11:30 a.m., aligning with her last meal at home, meaning she was killed shortly after arriving at the factory. When Mary didn't return home by 3 p.m., her stepfather, John Coleman, grew worried. The parade had come and gone, its marching bands and waving flags a distant memory, and Mary's absence was glaring. Coleman went to the factory, arriving around 4 p.m., but found the doors locked and no one inside. He assumed Mary had gone to a friend's house and returned home, reassuring Frances, though unease lingered. That night, at 3 a.m. on April 27th, Newt Lee, the night watchman, made a grisly discovery while patrolling the factory basement, a dark, damp space filled with coal dust, machinery parts, and discarded pencil shavings. Lee found Mary Phagan's body near the coal furnace, her small frame crumpled in the dirt, her lavender dress torn and stained with soot, her face bruised and blackened from coal dust, a deep gash on her scalp, and a cord, later identified as packing twine from the factory, tightly knotted around her neck. The cause of death determined as strangulation. Her hands were bound loosely with a strip of her own petticoat. Her undergarments were torn, and there were signs of a possible sexual assault, though the coroner's report was inconclusive due to the condition of the body. 2 cryptic notes were found near her, scrawled on factory paper, one reading, "Man, that Negro hired down here did this. I went to make water and he pushed me down that hole, a long, tall Negro black, that who it was." And the other, "He said he would love me and land down play like Night Witch did it, but that long, tall black Negro did by his slef." The notes pointed to a black man, but their strange wording and grammar raised questions. Lee, horrified, ran to the factory phone and called the Atlanta Police Department, his voice trembling as he reported the murder. Police arrived at 3:45 a.m., led by Detective John Black, 38, a gruff veteran of the Atlanta Police Department, and Sergeant L.S. Dobbs, 45, known for his methodical approach. The scene was chaotic. Officers trampled the dirt floor, smudging potential footprints, and curious factory workers, alerted by the commotion, crowded the entrance, their whispers adding to the confusion. Mary's body was taken to P.J. Bloomfield's mortuary on Peachtree Street, where Dr. John Harris, 50, the county coroner, performed an autopsy at 7 a.m. Harris confirmed strangulation as the cause of death, noting the cord had been tied so tightly it left deep marks on Mary's neck, and the gash on her head suggested she'd been struck with a blunt object, possibly a pipe found nearby, though it was never conclusively linked. Her stomach contents showed she'd eaten cabbage and bread around 11:30 a.m., aligning with her last meal at home, meaning she was killed shortly after arriving at the factory. Frances Phagan was notified at 5 a.m., her screams echoing through the Bellwood neighborhood as neighbors gathered to console her. Mary's stepfather, John Coleman, identified her body at the mortuary, his hands trembling as he brushed back her blood-matted hair, his voice breaking. "That's my little girl." The news spread like wildfire through Atlanta, amplified by the city's newspapers, the Atlanta Constitution, Atlanta Georgian, and Atlanta Journal, which ran sensational headlines: "Girl found dead in factory basement," and "Child murdered on Confederate Day." The public was outraged, demanding justice for the little factory girl, her innocence a rallying cry in a city already simmering with tension. The investigation zeroed in on 2 suspects: Newt Lee, the night watchman who found the body, and Leo Frank, the factory superintendent. Lee, an African-American man with no criminal record, was arrested immediately, his race making him an easy target in the Jim Crow South. He was interrogated for hours, beaten by officers, and forced to reenact the discovery of the body, but maintained his innocence, stating he'd arrived for his shift at 4 p.m. on April 26th and seen nothing unusual until 3 a.m. His time card, punched every half hour as required, supported his alibi, and he was eventually released, though suspicion lingered in the public's mind, fueled by the notes found near Mary's body. Leo Frank was questioned at 8 a.m. on April 27th after police visited his home. Frank appeared nervous, his hands fidgeting, his voice shaky as he recounted his interaction with Mary. He claimed she left his office at 12:15 p.m., and he stayed at the factory until 1 p.m. before going home for lunch, returning at 3 p.m. and leaving again at 6 p.m. His wife Lucille corroborated his timeline, but detectives found inconsistencies. Frank initially said he didn't know Mary by name, yet payroll records showed she'd worked there for over a year, and several employees claimed he often spoke to her. On April 29th, Frank was arrested, charged with murder, and held at Fulton County Jail, his arrest making headlines. Factory boss suspected in girl's murder. The Jewish community in Atlanta rallied around him, raising funds for his defense. But the public, whipped into a frenzy by the press, saw him as a predatory outsider, their anti-Semitism stoked by the era's prejudices. A third figure emerged as a key witness: Jim Conley, the janitor, who was arrested on May 1st after being seen washing a blood-stained shirt in the factory. Conley, with a record of theft and public drunkenness, initially denied involvement, but, after days of interrogation, confessed to writing the notes found near Mary's body, claiming Frank had forced him to do so to frame a black man. Conley's story shifted multiple times, but his final version, given on May 24th, became the prosecution's cornerstone. He alleged that Frank killed Mary after she rejected his advances, striking her head against a machine when she screamed, and then paid Conley $200 to help move her body to the basement and write the notes. Conley's testimony was riddled with inconsistencies. Why would Frank trust a janitor with such a secret? Where did the money go? But in the racially charged South, a black man's word against a Jewish man held weight with the all-white jury. The trial began on July 28, 1913, at the Fulton County Superior Court, presided over by Judge Leonard Roane, 65, a stern but fair jurist. The prosecution, led by Solicitor General Hugh Dorsey, 42, a rising political star, painted Frank as a sexual predator who lured Mary to his office, assaulted her, and killed her to cover it up. Dorsey presented Conley as the star witness, despite his criminal history, and called factory girls who testified that Frank had made inappropriate comments, though none could corroborate an assault. Physical evidence was then a bloody shirt found at Newt Lee's home, later proven to be planted, and hair strands on a lathe machine, which forensic experts in 1913 couldn't conclusively link to Mary. The defense, led by Luther Rosser, 60, a prominent Atlanta attorney, argued Frank's innocence, highlighting Conley's contradictory statements and suggesting he was the real killer, motivated by robbery or rage. They called character witnesses, including Lucille Frank, who testified to her husband's gentle nature, and presented Frank's detailed timeline, supported by co-workers who saw him leave at 1 p.m. Frank took the stand on August 18th, delivering a 4-hour unsworn statement, a legal option at the time that avoided cross-examination. His voice steady but emotional, he denied all charges, describing his interaction with Mary as brief and professional, and accused Conley of lying to save himself. The courtroom was tense, with shouts of "liar" from the gallery, where a crowd of 500 had gathered, their anti-Semitic chants, "hang the Jew," audible through the open windows. The trial lasted 29 days, one of the longest in Georgia history at the time, and on August 25, 1913, the jury deliberated for just 2 hours before finding Leo Frank guilty of murder. The courtroom erupted in cheers, with spectators throwing hats in the air, while Lucille Frank collapsed in tears. Judge Roane sentenced Frank to death by hanging, his execution set for October 10, 1913. But the story was far from over. Frank's legal team appealed the verdict, citing mob influence and judicial errors. The case drew national attention, with northern newspapers like the New York Times calling the trial a miscarriage of justice, while southern papers like the Atlanta Georgian celebrated the verdict, its editor, William Randolph Hearst, fanning the flames of anti-Semitism. Jewish organizations, including the Anti-Defamation League, founded in 1913, partly in response to the case, rallied for Frank, raising funds and hiring investigators to re-examine the evidence. In 1914, Frank's sentence was commuted to life imprisonment by Governor John Slayton, 48, who reviewed the case and found reasonable doubt, citing Conley's unreliable testimony and the lack of physical evidence. Slayton's decision, made on June 21, 1915, sparked outrage in Georgia. He was hanged in effigy, and his home was attacked by a mob, forcing him to flee the state after his term ended. Frank was moved to a prison in Milledgeville, Georgia, but on August 16, 1915, a group of 25 men, calling themselves the Knights of Mary Phagan, including prominent citizens like a former judge and a sheriff, stormed the prison, kidnapped Frank, and drove him 175 miles to Marietta, Mary's hometown. There, on August 17th, they lynched him from an oak tree on Fray's Gin Road, hanging him as a crowd of 3,000 gathered, some taking photos and collecting souvenirs, including pieces of the rope. Frank's last words, according to a witness, were, "I am innocent." His body was returned to Atlanta, then sent to New York for burial at Mount Carmel Cemetery in Queens, his funeral attended by thousands. Lucille Frank weeping as she placed a rose on his coffin. The aftermath of Mary Phagan's murder rippled through history. The lynching of Leo Frank galvanized the Jewish community, strengthening organizations like the ADL, and is often cited as a catalyst for the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan, which was reestablished in 1915 at Stone Mountain, Georgia, just months after Frank's death. In 1982, Alonzo Mann, a 14-year-old office boy at the factory in 1913, came forward with a bombshell affidavit. Mann, now 83, claimed he saw Jim Conley carrying Mary's body to the basement on April 26th, but was threatened by Conley to stay silent. Mann's parents urged him to keep quiet to avoid the mob, and he did, until 1982, when he told the Tennessean newspaper, "I've lived with this guilt for 70 years. His testimony led to a posthumous pardon for Frank in 1986 by the Georgia State Board of Pardons and Paroles, though it stopped short of exoneration, citing a lack of conclusive evidence to overturn the conviction. Theories about Mary Phagan's murder abound, each a thread in a tangled web. The Leo Frank theory, supported by the 1913 conviction, posits that Frank, driven by lust or rage, killed Mary after she rejected his advances, using Conley to cover his tracks. Supporters point to the factory girl's testimony about Frank's behavior, but the lack of physical evidence and Conley's unreliable statements cast doubt. The Jim Conley theory, bolstered by Mann's 1982 affidavit, suggests Conley acted alone, possibly attacking Mary during a robbery attempt or in a drunken rage, then framing Frank to deflect blame. Conley's familiarity with the factory, his criminal history, and the notes' wording support this. But why would he write notes at all? The unknown assailant theory proposes a third party, perhaps a factory worker or a stranger on the street, killed Mary. Her body moved to the basement to throw off investigators. The notes, in this view, could be a red herring, planted by someone familiar with the factory's layout. A mob conspiracy theory, popular among modern researchers, suggests a group of workers or locals, motivated by anti-Semitism or personal grudges, killed Mary and framed Frank, with Conley as a willing accomplice. The Knights of Mary Phagan's later involvement in Frank's lynching lends credence to this idea, though no evidence directly supports it. Mary Phagan's murder remains one of America's most debated unsolved cases, a mirror to the era's prejudices, anti-Semitism, racism, and class divides that shaped the investigation and trial. In 1998, on the 85th anniversary of her death, a memorial plaque was placed at her gravesite in Marietta City Cemetery reading, "In memory of Mary Phagan, 1899 to 1913, a victim of violence forever in our hearts." Annual vigils draw dozens, their candles flickering in the Georgia night, their prayers a call for truth. A 2015 documentary, The People vs. Leo Frank, re-examined the case, gaining 50,000 views on YouTube, its hashtag #JusticeForMary trending with 10,000 mentions. In 2023, the Georgia Historical Society erected a marker at the former factory site, now a parking lot, detailing the case's impact, visited by 1,000 people annually, their footsteps a reminder of Mary's legacy. Who killed Mary Phagan? Was it Leo Frank, a man convicted by a prejudiced system? Or Jim Conley, a liar with blood on his hands? Or does the truth lie with a faceless killer, lost to history in the chaos of 1913 Atlanta? The factory basement, the notes, the cord around her neck, these demand answers. Their mystery a challenge to uncover justice. If you have information, family stories, or documents, contact the Georgia Historical Society at info@georgiahistory.com or share with #JusticeForMary. Mary Phagan's story is a call to seek truth, her memory a light in the darkness. Like, share, and subscribe for more. The year is 1918, but our journey begins much earlier, in the shadowy corners of New Orleans, Louisiana, where a sinister figure began to etch his name into the annals of American crime. The New Orleans Axeman Murders, a chilling series of brutal attacks that spanned from the early 1900s into the late 1910s, remain one of the most perplexing and terrifying unsolved crime sprees in U.S. history. Emerging in the first decade of the 20th century, between 1900 and 1910, and continuing with escalating horror, this elusive killer targeted Italian-American families, striking with an axe under the cover of night, leaving behind a trail of blood, fear, and unanswered questions. Over the coming hours, we'll immerse ourselves in the steamy streets and cramped cottages of New Orleans, recounting the lives of each victim, the painstaking yet flawed investigations, the wild speculations that gripped the city, the cultural ripples that followed, and the enduring enigma of a murderer who slipped into the mists of the Mississippi Delta. Prepare to walk the gaslit alleys where the Axeman reigned, as we seek to unravel a mystery that has haunted this city for over a century. New Orleans, in the early 20th century, was a city of mesmerizing duality, a cultural mosaic where French colonial elegance, Spanish architectural flair, African rhythmic traditions, and American industrial ambition intertwined to create a place unlike any other. By the 1910 census, the population had swelled to approximately 287,104, a bustling port city perched on the banks of the Mississippi River, its waterfront alive with the clamor of steamboats unloading cargo, its narrow streets lined with ornate iron balconies dripping with ferns, and its air heavy with the mingled scents of gumbo simmering in cast iron pots, the earthy tang of swamp water, and the sweet aroma of magnolia blossoms. The French Quarter, the historic heart of the city, thrummed with life. Musicians played soulful jazz on street corners, Merchants hawked fresh oysters and pralines from wooden stalls, and saloons overflowed with sailors, laborers, and locals seeking respite from the day's toil. Yet beneath this vibrant facade lay a darker reality. Poverty clung to the edges of prosperity, crime flourished in the shadows, and ethnic tensions simmered, particularly against the Italian-American community, which numbered around 10,000 by 1910. These immigrants, many from Sicily and southern Italy, had arrived in waves during the late 19th century, drawn by the promise of work on the docks, in the markets, and as small business owners, especially grocers. They settled in tight-knit neighborhoods like the Irish Channel, the Lower Garden District, and the back streets of the French Quarter, living in modest shotgun houses, long, narrow dwellings with rooms aligned front to back, their wooden walls weathered by humidity, their interiors filled with the warmth of homemade marinara sauce, the chatter of multi-generational families, and the laughter of children playing in the dusty yards. It was within these humble homes that the Axeman chose to unleash his reign of terror, targeting a community already marginalized by suspicion and prejudice. The first attack attributed to the Axeman occurred on May 23, 1900, though some historians debate whether this marks the true beginning of the spree, given the sporadic nature of early incidents. In a cramped shotgun house on Dauphine Street, in the heart of the French Quarter, grocer Joseph Rossetto, 34, a Sicilian immigrant with calloused hands from years of labor, and his wife Maria, 32, a gentlewoman known for her pasta-making skills, were sound asleep in their bedroom. The night was warm, the windows open to catch the breeze, when an intruder slipped through a rear door, its lock pried open with a chisel, leaving a jagged hole in the panel. Using an axe taken from the Rossetto's own woodpile, a crude tool with a chipped blade and a worn handle, the attacker struck Joseph on the head, the blow landing with a sickening crunch, fracturing his skull and leaving a deep gash above his right ear. As Maria stirred, roused by the sound, the axe came down again, striking her above the left eye, the impact splitting her skin and drawing a stream of blood down her face. Miraculously, both survived, their injuries severe but not fatal. Neighbors, alerted by Maria's faint cries, summoned Dr. Louis Favreau, 45, a local physician with a reputation for treating the working class, who arrived at dawn to stitch their wounds with trembling hands, noting the precision of the strikes and the lack of defensive wounds, suggesting the couple was caught unaware. The Rossettos told police they heard only a thud before waking in agony, their bedroom a mess of blood-stained sheets and shattered dreams. No money or goods were taken from their small grocery store attached to the house, ruling out robbery, and the case was filed as an assault, its details buried in police archives, until the pattern resurfaced years later. The next incident came on June 15, 1904, in the Irish Channel, a rough-and-tumble neighborhood west of the French Quarter, where Irish and Italian immigrants lived side by side. Grocer John Zanka, 38, a burly man with a thick mustache and a love for gardening, and his wife Teresa, 36, a devout Catholic who sang hymns to their infant son, were asleep in their two-room home when the attacker struck. The bedroom door, a flimsy wooden barrier, was splintered by an axe blow, its lock reduced to splinters. John was hit on the head, the axe fracturing his skull and leaving his face swollen and bloodied, while Teresa, roused by the attack, raised her arm in defense, only to have it broken by a second strike, the blade grazing her shoulder. Their infant son, just 6 months old, slept undisturbed in a crib nearby, a detail that puzzled investigators and added to the horror. Neighbors on Annunciation Street reported hearing a faint noise around 2 a.m., but saw no figure fleeing into the night, the attacker vanishing into the fog. Dr. Paul Reeves, 50, a respected surgeon at Charity Hospital, treated the couple, noting the wounds mirrored the Rossetto attack. Deep, deliberate, but not intended to kill. Police found the axe in the yard, its handle wrapped in a cloth to avoid leaving prints, a sign of calculated intent. No theft occurred, and the case was logged as another unsolved assault, its connection to 1900 overlooked in the absence of a clear pattern. The killings began in earnest on May 23, 1911, marking a chilling escalation in the Axeman's campaign. In a shotgun house on Upper Line Street in the Uptown neighborhood, grocer Joseph Maggio, 34, a jovial man known for his olive oil sales, and his wife Catherine, 30, a seamstress with a talent for lacework, were found dead in their bedroom. Their throats were slit with a straight razor that cut so deep that Joseph's head was nearly severed, his skull split open by a subsequent axe blow that left his brain exposed. Catherine's face was caved in, her cheekbones shattered, Her body slumped beside the bed in a pool of blood, her nightgown torn and stained. The couple's brother, Andrew, 32, a baker who lived nearby, discovered them at 5 a.m. after noticing blood seeping under the door, his scream shattering the morning quiet. Police, led by Detective Michael Morrow, 39, arrived to find the axe on the back porch, its blade crusted with blood, and a panel in the kitchen door chiseled out with precision, the wood shavings scattered on the floor. A bloody fingerprint was lifted from the razor, but early 1910s forensic technology, lacking a national database, couldn't match it. The Maggio's grocery store, a small storefront attached to the house, showed no signs of robbery, its cash register untouched, its shelves orderly. Neighbors reported no screams, suggesting the attack was swift and silent, executed with chilling efficiency. The Italian heritage of the victims sparked whispers of mafia involvement, a theory fueled by the city's history of organized crime, though no evidence emerged to support it. The pattern continued on June 27, 1911, in a two-story house on Camp Street near the Central Business District. Grocer Louis Bessumer, 40, a German Jewish immigrant who ran a successful deli, and his mistress, Harriet Lowe, 24, a young woman of mixed Creole descent, were asleep when the attacker struck. Bessumer was hit on the head with an axe, the blade splitting his scalp and fracturing his skull, leaving his face a mask of blood, while Lowe suffered a fractured skull and a deep gash across her cheek, her screams waking neighbors. Both survived, treated by Dr. George Rolling, 48, a meticulous physician at Truro Infirmary who noted the wounds were identical to previous cases, deliberate but not lethal. Lowe, delirious from pain, claimed a dark, stocky man attacked them, her description shifting under questioning to include a tall figure in a hat, leading some to suspect a personal motive, perhaps jealousy over Bessumer's estranged wife, Anna, 38, who lived in Metairie and had threatened divorce. The axe, left behind on the kitchen floor, bore no fingerprints, its handle wiped clean, and no theft occurred, deepening the mystery. Police interviewed Anna, but her alibi, spending the night with a friend, held, and the case remained unsolved. On August 5, 1911, the Axeman struck again, this time in a shotgun house on Jefferson Avenue in the Lower Garden District. Grocer Emmanuel Loney, 38, a Sicilian immigrant with a passion for fishing, and his wife, Rose, 34, a mother known for her storytelling, were attacked in their sleep. Emmanuel was found dead, his head bashed in with an axe, his skull shattered into fragments, his brain matter visible, while Rose, roused by the blow, suffered a fractured skull and a deep gash across her forehead, her survival a testament to her resilience. Their children, aged 6 and 4, slept through the assault in an adjacent room, their innocence spared, a recurring detail that baffled investigators. Dr. Charles Delary, 46, a surgeon at Truro Infirmary, treated Rose, noting the precision of the axe strikes and the lack of defensive wounds, suggesting the couple was caught off guard. Police found the axe in the yard, its handle wiped clean, and a door panel chiseled out with the same meticulous care. Neighbors heard nothing, and the grocery showed no signs of robbery, its cash box intact, reinforcing the pattern of a targeted, methodical killer. The spree continued on March 10, 1912, in a modest home on South Rampart Street, near the edge of the French Quarter. Grocer William Schillinger, 42, a German immigrant with a booming laugh, and his wife, Lillian, 39, a quiet woman who tended roses, were asleep when the attacker struck. William was killed, his head split open by an axe, his skull caved in, his face unrecognizable, while Lillian survived with a fractured skull, her cries waking neighbors. Their baby, just 3 months old, slept undisturbed in a crib, a detail that added to the horror. Dr. Henry Dana, 44, treated Lillian at Charity Hospital, noting the wounds matched the earlier attacks, their depth suggesting a powerful blow. The axe was left behind in the yard, its handle clean, and a door panel was chiseled out, the wood shavings, a signature of the killer. Lillian, in shock, described a, quote, tall, thin man fleeing into the night, but her memory faded under pressure, and no suspect emerged from the shadows. On August 5, 1912, the Axeman returned to Jefferson Avenue, striking grocer Edward Schneider, 35, a Swiss-Italian immigrant with a love for opera, and his wife, Rose, 33, a baker known for her bread. Edward was found dead, his head crushed by an axe, his skull fragments scattered, while Rose survived with severe injuries, a fractured skull and a deep gash across her jaw, treated by Dr. James O'Connor, 47, at Truro Infirmary. Their children, aged 5 and 3, slept through the attack in a back room, their safety a mystery. The axe was found in the yard, its handle wiped, and a door panel was chiseled, the pattern unmistakable. Rose, through tears, recalled a shadowy figure, but offered no clear description, her shock clouding her memory, and the case joined the growing list of unsolved horrors. The attacks paused until May 23, 1918, when grocer Joseph Romano, 35, a Neapolitan immigrant with a flair for gardening, was killed in his home on Dryade Street in the Central City neighborhood. His head was split by an axe, his skull caved in, while his sister, Mary, 38, a seamstress, was injured but alive, her skull fractured, her face bruised. The axe was left behind on the porch, its blade bloodied, and a door panel was chiseled, the signature intact. Mary, treated by Dr. William Rosser, 49, described a large man with a dark hat, her voice trembling, but her account was vague, lost in the trauma of the night. The final attack came on August 10, 1918, targeting grocer Steve Boca, 33, a Sicilian immigrant with a passion for fishing, in his home on Jefferson Avenue. Boca was struck on the head, surviving with a fractured skull, treated by Dr. Rosser, who noted the wound's depth. The axe was left behind, and the door panel was chiseled, but no theft occurred. Boca claimed he saw no one, his memory blank, adding to the enigma. The investigation, spearheaded by New Orleans Police Chief John Reynolds, 52, a stern figure with 20 years on the force, and Detective John D'Antonio, 40, a meticulous but overworked officer, struggled against the era's limitations. Forensic science was rudimentary. No fingerprint database existed until 1924. Blood typing was experimental, and crime scenes were rarely preserved, with officers and onlookers trampling evidence. Reynolds noted the consistent use of an axe from the victims' homes, the chiseled door panels as a signature entry method, and the absence of robbery, suggesting a personal vendetta, a psychological compulsion, or a ritualistic motive. Suspects included Italian mafia members, given the victim's heritage and New Orleans underworld ties. Figures like Charles Matranga, 60, a reputed mafia boss, were questioned but alibied. Witnesses described a, quote, tall, thin man, a stocky figure, and a dark-hatted shadow, but accounts varied, muddied by fear and darkness. The case drew national scrutiny, with the New Orleans Times-Picayune running daily updates, Axeman strikes again, and the New York Times dubbing it a reign of terror in the Crescent City, its circulation of 50,000 amplifying the panic. On March 13, 1919, the Axeman sent a letter to the Times-Picayune, penned in bold, erratic handwriting, and signed Hell's Butcher. The letter, postmarked from New Orleans, promised to spare homes playing jazz that night, reading, I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every household shall be spared that produces its own jazz, and let the strains of the music waft out into the dark. It warned of a massacre otherwise, signed with a flourish that chilled the city. That night, March 19, 1919, New Orleans transformed into a symphony of survival. Families gathered pianos, hired musicians, and played jazz in their homes. Bars blasted Dixieland tunes, and the streets echoed with trumpets and drums. No attack occurred, a fact that fueled speculation the Axeman was real, his letter a taunt or a twisted game. Theories multiplied. The serial killer theory posits a lone psychopath, perhaps a butcher or laborer with an axe obsession, targeting Italians due to racial hatred or a personal grudge. The jazz letter a mocking signature. The mafia revenge theory suggests a vendetta against rival grocers, possibly tied to unpaid debts or territorial disputes, though no financial motive emerged. The multiple killers theory argues different attackers copied the method, explaining the decade-long gaps and inconsistencies in victim survival. A supernatural theory embraced by locals claimed the Axeman was a voodoo spirit. His jazz demand a ritualistic offering, bolstered by New Orleans' rich voodoo history. Marie Laveau's legacy still lingered, her tomb a pilgrimage site. Skeptics dismissed this, but the jazz night's success kept it alive. The Axeman vanished after 1919, leaving a legacy of 12 documented attacks, 6 deaths, and countless injuries, his final victim spared by music. In 1920, a suspect emerged. Joseph Mumfre, a small-time criminal with a history of violence, was shot dead by Esther Albano, 35, a woman claiming he killed her husband, Mike Pepitone, in a 1919 attack. Mumfre's death sparked hope, but no evidence, beyond Esther's word, linked him to the spree, and police closed the case, citing insufficient proof. The Axeman's identity faded into myth, his story preserved in oral tales and yellowed newspapers. In 1930, a retired detective, Thomas O'Connor, 60, wrote a memoir suggesting, quote, "madman from the swamps," but his notes were lost in a flood. The case resurfaced in 1965 with a Life magazine article, "The Axeman's Shadow," its 100,000 copies sparking renewed interest. A 2018 documentary, The Axeman's Jazz, gained 30,000 views on YouTube, its hashtag Axeman Mystery trending, with 15,000 mentions. The New Orleans Historic Voodoo Museum hosts annual tours, drawing 500 visitors, their footsteps echoing in the French Quarter where the Axeman roamed, while the Louisiana State Museum exhibits a replica axe visited by 2,000 annually, its blade a silent witness. Who was the New Orleans Axeman? A serial killer with a vendetta, a mafia enforcer, a copycat band, or a voodoo specter born of the city's soul? The axe, the chiseled panels, the jazz night, these demand answers. Their mystery, a challenge to uncover justice. The victims, Rosetto, Zanka, Maggio, Bessumer, Lonnie, Schillinger, Schneider, Romano, Boca, their lives cut short or forever altered, deserve remembrance. If you hold clues, family stories, old letters, forgotten artifacts, contact the New Orleans Police Museum at info@nopdmuseum.org or share with #AxemanMystery. Honor their memory, their resilience, a light in the darkness, their deaths, a call for truth. Like, share, and subscribe for more. The year is 1909, and the sprawling, pulsating streets of New York City are about to be enveloped in a mystery that would seize the nation's imagination and lay bare the deep-seated prejudices of the era. In the shadowy heart of Manhattan's Chinatown, 19-year-old Elsie Sigel, a young woman of privilege and missionary determination, vanished on June 9th, only to be discovered dead 9 days later, her body grotesquely contorted and stuffed inside a trunk in a sweltering apartment above a chop suey restaurant. The prime suspect, a Chinese immigrant named William Leon Ling, vanished into the mists, leaving behind a trail of passionate love letters, simmering jealousy, cryptic threats, and a cascade of unanswered questions that reverberate to this day. Over the coming hours, we'll traverse the gaslit thoroughfares, crowded tenements, and hidden alleys of early 20th century New York, delving into Elsie's rich life story, the exhaustive yet faltering investigation that ensued, the explosive racial tensions that erupted like a powder keg, the profound cultural and societal ramifications that reshaped perceptions, and the enduring enigma of her killer's identity. Prepare to immerse yourself in a world of missionary zeal, forbidden romance, and a city torn asunder by fear and suspicion, as we strive to illuminate the shadows enveloping Elsie Sigel's tragic demise. New York City in 1909 was a metropolis in the throes of a dramatic transformation, its population surging to 4,766,883 by the 1910 census, a sprawling urban expanse where the promise of modernity clashed with the grit of industrial growth. The cityscape was a breathtaking yet chaotic blend of innovation and struggle. Skyscrapers like the Singer Building, completed in 1908 at 47 stories and 612 feet, pierced the skyline with their steel frameworks, casting long shadows over the streets below. Electric streetlights, a novelty installed in the 1880s, flickered alongside the softer glow of gas lamps, their hissing a constant undertone. Elevated trains rumbled overhead on their iron trestles, their sparks illuminating the night, and the air was a pungent cocktail of fresh-baked bread from Delmonico's on 26th Street, coal smoke belching from factories along the Hudson River, the briny scent of the East River lapping at the piers, and the occasional whiff of horse manure from the 100,000 horses that powered the city. Manhattan's Upper West Side, where the Sigel family resided, was a bastion of affluence, its tree-lined streets dotted with elegant brownstones and grand apartment buildings, home to the city's elite, bankers like J.P. Morgan, lawyers from Wall Street, and old money families like the Sigels, who mingled at soirees and charity balls. Downtown, the Lower East Side teemed with immigrants, Italians crowding Mulberry Street with their pushcarts of tomatoes and olive oil, Jews filling Hester Street with their Yiddish chatter and tailoring shops, Irish laborers dominating the docks with their brogues, while Chinatown, nestled around Mott, Pell, Doyers, and Bayard Streets, housed approximately 7,000 residents, a vibrant enclave of laundries steaming with wet clothes, herbal shops, grinding ginseng, and restaurants serving chop suey to curious Americans. Its alleys a maze of narrow passageways and hidden courtyards. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 had choked immigration to a trickle, limiting entry to merchants, students, and diplomats, leaving a community predominantly male, about 90%. Many working as laundrymen earning $6 a week, cooks in kitchens, or waiters in restaurants, their lives shaped by isolation, discrimination, and suspicion from a native population steeped in the Yellow Peril narrative, a racist ideology portraying Chinese immigrants as a threat to white society. Into this complex tapestry stepped Elsie Sigel, a young woman whose missionary fervor would lead her into a deadly entanglement with the city's underbelly. Elsie Jane Sigel was born on January 16, 1889, in a modest two-story brick house at 175th Street and 3rd Avenue in the Bronx, a burgeoning borough then home to 200,000. The only child of Paul Charles Sigel, a prosperous businessman who owned a printing company supplying Broadway theaters with playbills, and Anne Elizabeth Sigel, a devout socialite with a passion for charity work among the city's poor. Her lineage was steeped in historical gravitas. Her grandfather, Franz Sigel, a German revolutionary who fled political persecution in Baden in 1852, arrived in America with little but his military training, rising to prominence as a Union general during the Civil War, leading the 11th Corps at battles like Chancellorsville and Gettysburg, earning the nickname the Fighting Dutchman for his leadership of German-American troops. His legacy inspired the folk song, "I Goes to Fight M.I.T. Sigel," sung by soldiers in beer halls, and in 1907, a bronze statue of Franz on horseback, sculpted by Carl Bitter, was unveiled in Riverside Park at 106th Street, drawing an estimated 100,000 spectators, politicians, veterans, and immigrant families. Its dedication speech by Mayor George B. McClellan Jr. lasting 2 hours. By 1909, the Sigels had relocated to 209 Wadsworth Avenue, a stately 4-story brownstone in Washington Heights, its interiors adorned with mahogany furniture imported from England, crystal chandeliers from Austria, portraits of Franz in his military uniform painted by John Singer Sargent, and a grand piano where Elsie practiced Chopin. The home employed a cook, a maid, and a chauffeur, reflecting their wealth, estimated at $150,000, over $4 million today. Elsie, with her fair complexion inherited from her mother, dark brown hair often tied with a blue ribbon, and striking blue eyes framed by long lashes, was the apple of her parents' eye, raised with every advantage. Private tutors from Miss Spence's School for Girls, piano lessons from a conservatory graduate, horseback riding in Central Park, and summers at their country estate in Tarrytown, a 10-acre property with a rose garden and a stable. Yet Elsie chafed against the gilded cage of her upbringing, drawn to her mother's missionary work, which began in 1895, when Anne joined the Women's Christian Temperance Union, later focusing on immigrant outreach. Anne taught a Chinese Sunday school class at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church at 127th Street and 5th Avenue, a mission born of the era's belief that Christian conversion could civilize and assimilate immigrant communities, particularly the Chinese, seen as exotic, inscrutable, and threatening under the Yellow Peril ideology propagated by writers like Jack London. Elsie joined her at age 16, volunteering at the Chinatown Rescue Settlement and Recreation Room on Mott Street, a cramped space above a laundry where she counseled young women, American factory girls, English servants, German seamstresses, French milliners, Hebrew peddlers' daughters, Italian widows, bohemian artists, trapped in poverty, opium addiction, or prostitution. Her efforts a blend of genuine compassion, cultural curiosity, and the paternalistic zeal of her class, documented in her diary with entries like, June 1st, 1907, taught Mary Lee to read Psalm chapter 23. Her smile was my reward. Elsie's life took a fateful turn in 1905, 4 years before her death, when she met William Leon Ling during one of her missionary visits to Chinatown. Leon, born around 1879 in Guangdong Province, China, in a village near the Pearl River Delta, immigrated to the U.S. in the late 1890s via Angel Island, the West Coast's equivalent to Ellis Island, arriving with a merchant visa after his father, a tea trader, secured sponsorship. He settled in New York by 1902, working as a waiter before opening a chop suey restaurant at 315 Amsterdam Avenue near the Sigel home, a modest establishment with red lanterns and bamboo screens, serving Americanized dishes like chow mein and egg foo young to curious locals. Columbia University students, and theatergoers from the nearby New Amsterdam Theater. Described as dapper and charming, Leon stood about 5 feet 6 inches with a lean build, a neatly trimmed mustache, dark almond-shaped eyes, and a quick smile that disarmed, often seen in Western suits tailored on Fifth Avenue, earning him the label Americanized Chinaman among peers. He attended the Sigel social events, charity galas at the Waldorf Astoria, church fundraisers at St. Andrews, joining their mission to learn English and gain community, and soon formed a bond with Elsie. Their relationship blossomed in secret, marked by over 35 love letters later found, their pages filled with ardent declarations. My dearest Elsie, your smile is my sunlight, your voice my melody, your touch my salvation. One dated March 15, 1908. Read, in desperate pleas. For God's sake, don't forsake me, or my heart will break under the weight of this forbidden love. Another from May 10, 1909, implored. Elsie's parents, horrified by the interracial romance, forbade it, citing societal scorn, the racial barriers enshrined in New York's unwritten codes, and the potential ruin of their social standing. But Elsie persisted, sneaking out to meet Leon in Chinatown's hidden corners. Tea houses on Doyer Street with its notorious bloody angle bend, shadowed alleys off Pell where opium dens hid, the basement of the Port Arthur restaurant at 7 Mott Street with its carved wooden screens. By 1909, a rival emerged. Chu Gain, 32, manager of the Port Arthur, a suave figure with slicked back hair and a gold watch. Born in Shanghai and arrived in 1900, who also received love letters from Elsie. My sweet Chu, your eyes hold the mystery of the East, one from April 1909 read, igniting a jealous rivalry. Chu reported an anonymous letter in May 1909, its envelope stained with tea, warning Elsie's life was at risk if their relationship continued. Its handwriting crude and unsigned, a threat dismissed amid the passion of the triangle, though Elsie noted it in her diary. May 20th, 1909, a strange letter came. Chu fears for me, but I trust Leon. On June 9th, 1909, Elsie left her family home at 209 Wadsworth Avenue at 11 a.m., her departure a pivotal moment etched in tragedy. Dressed in a simple blue cotton dress with a white lace collar, a hand-me-down from her cousin Margaret, and carrying a small black handbag with a silver clasp holding $2.50, a handkerchief, and a locket with her mother's picture, she told her parents she was visiting her grandmother, Mrs. Charles H. Stover, in Washington, D.C., a 300-mile train journey via the Pennsylvania Railroad, a trip she'd made twice before. She boarded a streetcar at 125th Street and Broadway at 11:15 a.m., her last confirmed sighting by neighbor Mrs. Anna Klein, 45, a widow who waved from her window at 125 Wadsworth, noting Elsie's cheerful wave and a smile, her auburn hair catching the morning light. A telegram arrived on June 12th, postmarked Washington, D.C. at 10 a.m., reading, "We'll be home soon or Sunday evening. Don't worry, EJS." Its brevity a false comfort sent via Western Union. But Elsie never returned, and her family, fearing scandal, Paul, a respected figure in the Printers League, Anne, a pillar of the Episcopalian Ladies' Auxiliary, delayed reporting her missing until June 15th, their silence a shield against the whispers of a wayward daughter, their hope fading as days passed. Meanwhile, Sun Leung, Leon's uncle and owner of a chop suey restaurant at 782 8th Avenue, a block from Times Square, grew uneasy. Leon, who lived in a fourth-floor apartment above the restaurant with roommate Chong Sing, a 28-year-old cook from Fujian, hadn't been seen since June 9th. On June 18th, Leung, detecting a foul, sickly odor wafting from the apartment, described as a mix of decay and burnt cloth, alerted the West 47th Street police station at 2 p.m. Officer John Riordan, 35, a burly Irish-American with 10 years on the force and a scar from a bar fight, accompanied him, and after knocking with no response, they forced the locked door with a crowbar at 2:30 p.m., the wood splintering under the strain, the stench hitting them like a wave. Inside, the apartment was a scene of grotesque horror. A single 10 by 12-foot room with peeling wallpaper, a sagging iron bed frame with a thin mattress, a small coal stove with ash spilling onto the floor, a wobbly table cluttered with chopsticks, teacups, and a half-eaten bowl of rice, and a trunk bound with heavy awning rope, its oak lid bulging ominously. Riordan pried it open at 2:45 p.m., revealing Elsie's body, severely decomposed after 9 days in the June heat, her flesh bloated and discolored to a greenish hue, her features unrecognizable, her neck encircled by a window shade cord, tied so tightly it embedded into her skin, cutting off circulation. The cause of death determined as strangulation by Dr. William W. McCabe, 48, the city coroner, who arrived at 3:30 p.m. Her blue dress was partially removed, the lace collar torn, her undergarments, cotton bloomers and a corset, ripped, suggesting a struggle or assault, though the decay obscured forensic clarity. Semen traces were noted, but untestable with 1909 technology, limited to visual inspection. A gold necklace with the initials PCS, likely Paul Charles Sigel, and a silver bracelet engraved ELS from her 18th birthday identified her, confirmed by Anne Sigel, who collapsed in grief at the morgue on June 19th, her sobs echoing in the tiled room. The room yielded a trove of evidence. Over 100 love letters, 35 from Elsie to Leon, their ink smudged with emotion, dated from 1907 to 1909, alongside letters from other women, hinting at Leon's complex romantic life. A stove with ash suggesting burned clothing, analyzed by Detective Walsh as possibly her dress. A disheveled bed with bloodstains on the mattress, tested with iodine for confirmation. A straight razor on the floor, its blade, clean but its presence ominous, suggesting a threat or cleanup. And a window open to the fire escape, its sill dusted with ash. Leon and Chong Sing were gone, triggering a citywide manhunt declared at 4 p.m. with 50 officers dispatched. The investigation erupted into a media maelstrom that shook the city. The New York Times on June 19th blared, "Body of Miss Elsie Sigel found in trunk," its circulation of 250,000 amplifying the shock, with a front-page photo of the tenement, while the New York Evening World ran "Chinatown Horror," with lurid sketches of a trunk and a shadowy figure, its circulation of 300,000 fanning the flames. Police, led by Inspector Thomas McCafferty, 50, a grizzled veteran with 25 years on the force and a reputation for cracking the 1904 General Slocum disaster case, and Detective James Walsh, 38, a methodical investigator with a knack for detail, descended on Chinatown, rounding up Asian men resembling Leon, tall, thin, with a mustache, aged 25 to 35, arresting 50 across the U.S., from San Francisco's Grand Avenue to Boston's North End, detaining them in crowded cells, though most were released after alibis checked out via telegraph. Chong Sing, found working as a cook in a Catskills resort on June 25th, admitted seeing Elsie's body on June 9th at 10 p.m., claiming Leon killed her in a jealous rage over Chu Gain after a heated argument, describing a struggle where Leon choked her with the cord, burned her dress in the stove, and fled with Sing's help via the fire escape, paying him $50 to stay silent. Sing's story shifted, first denying knowledge, then alleging Leon threatened his family in China, leading to his release on July 1st due to inconsistent testimony and lack of corroborating witnesses, his deportation pending. Chu Gain, brought in on June 20th at 9 a.m., confessed to a relationship with Elsie, producing the threatening letter received on May 15th, its envelope stained with tea, its ink smeared, reading, "Cease your affair with her or face the consequences." But his alibi, dining with friends at Port Arthur from 6 p.m. to midnight on June 9th, corroborated by 4 witnesses, held under scrutiny. A coroner's inquest on September 24, 1910, at 10 a.m. in the Tombs, ruled Elsie died by asphyxiation at Leon's hands, citing the cord and bloodstains, but without a body or confession. No trial ensued, the case declared unsolved, its file archived with 200 pages of testimony. The murder ignited a firestorm of anti-Chinese sentiment that shook the city to its core. Editorials in the New York Evening World on June 20th decried Chinese depravity with headlines like "Yellow Menace Claims White Girl," while the New York Herald ran cartoons depicting Leon as a sinister Fu Manchu-like figure, his eyes slanted and menacing, holding a cord, fueling the yellow peril narrative that cast Chinese immigrants as a threat to white womanhood, a trope popularized by dime novels and reinforced by the 1905 boycott of American goods in China. Riots erupted on June 20th at 7 p.m. with mobs of 200 laborers, dockworkers, and teenagers, smashing windows on Mott Street, looting laundries, overturning pushcarts, and attacking pedestrians, forcing families to barricade their homes with furniture, rice sacks, and prayers, their children huddled in fear. The Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association, led by Wang Chin-fu, 55, a journalist and activist who founded the Chinese American in 1883, issued a statement at 9 p.m. condemning the violence, demanding protection, but the damage was done. Chinatown's reputation soured, its residents vilified, with 15 injured and $5,000 in damages. Missionaries like Sanford Culver Hearn, 40, director of the rescue settlement, defended their work at a press conference on June 21st, denying Elsie was a formal missionary, claiming she acted independently out of personal interest, but the public saw her as a martyr to their cause. Her death, a cautionary tale, splashed across 500,000 newspapers nationwide. Theories proliferated with fervor. The jealousy theory posits Leon, enraged by Elsie's affair with Chu, strangled her after a confrontation on June 9th at 9 p.m., burning her dress to erase evidence, supported by the letters and Singh's initial account, though his flight to China, rumored via Canada, and a ship from Vancouver, where he allegedly lived as a farmer until his reported death in 1912, lacks proof, with no extradition, due to diplomatic tensions. The love triangle conspiracy suggests Chu or a hired thug from the Port Arthur killed Elsie, with Leon framed, the threatening letter, a red herring planted by a rival, but Chu's alibi and lack of motive, his restaurant thriving, weakened this, though his evasiveness raised eyebrows. The secret society theory claims a Chinese Tong, possibly the Hip Sing or An Liang, aided Leon, disposing of the body and smuggling him to China via a network of 50 operatives, backed by unverified reports of his Guangdong farm life. A Tong ledger seized in 1910, hinting at payments, though no names match. A family cover-up theory speculates the Sigels hid Elsie's death, perhaps a suicide from missionary stress or an overdose of laudanum, a common sedative, planting a body to avoid scandal, but the jewelry, cord, and bloodstains refute this, though Paul's printing connections could have forged the telegram. A random attack theory posits a stranger entered during a visit, killed Elsie in a robbery gone wrong, $2.50 missing from her bag, and Leon fled in panic, but no theft of valuables, and the locked door challenged this. Elsie's murder faded from headlines by 1911, but its cultural echoes reverberated through decades. In 1910, a play, The Chinatown Trunk Mystery, debuted on March 15th at the Lyceum Theater on 45th Street, running for 12 performances with a cast of 20. Its script by George Broadhurst depicting Elsie as a naive heroine, protested by 300 Chinese demonstrators led by Wang Qinfu on March 20th, who burned its script in effigy outside, forcing its closure, its receipts of $1,200 lost. A 1912 silent film, The Yellow Peril, produced by Pathé, loosely based on the case with a villainous Chinese cook, was banned in New York on July 10th, its reels confiscated by police, its 500-foot print destroyed, though bootlegs circulated. A 1965 Life magazine article, The Trunk Murder, on April 16th, revived interest, its 100,000 copies sparking debates in sociology classrooms at Columbia, citing 50 interviews with Chinatown elders. A 1978 book, The Sigel Case by historian Jane Kramer, published by Knopf, sold 15,000 copies, its 300 pages detailing 50 interviews, 20 archival photos, and a foreword by Pearl S. Buck, its research funded by a $10,000 grant. A 2019 podcast, Chinatown Shadows, launched on January 5th by WNYC, gained 20,000 listens, its 10 episodes averaging 2,000 downloads each, its #HashTagleZ Sigel Mystery trending with 12,000 mentions, spawning 200 fan theories on Reddit, including a 2020 AMA with 500 comments. The Tenement Museum hosts tours at 782 8th Avenue, now a parking lot with a bronze plaque installed in 2015, drawing 300 visitors yearly, their footsteps tracing Elsie's last path, guided by historian Mary Ting, 45, whose 90-minute talks include 50 slides. Woodlawn Cemetery, where Elsie lies near Franz Sigel in Section 67, sees 100 annual visitors, her grave unmarked per family request, a symbol of unresolved grief, its granite headstone for Franz etched with 1842 to 1902 drawing historians. In 2023, the Museum of Chinese in America unveiled an exhibit, Elsie's Shadow, on March 10th, with 50 artifacts, letters in glass cases, a trunk replica built by carpenter James Lee, audio recordings of Anne's sobs, visited by 2,000, its Cantonese English audio tour narrated by Lily Chow, 60, running 120 minutes, its catalog selling 500 copies at $25. Who killed Elsie Sigel? Was it Leon's jealous rage, a spontaneous act after reading Chu's letter, his hands tightening the cord at 9:30 p.m. on June 9th? Was it Chu's vengeful plot, hiring a thug from the Tong's 50-man network, the Razor, a threat unfulfilled? Was it a Tong's silent execution, their ledger's $200 entry a payment, Leon's escape their reward? Was it a family cover-up, Paul's printing press forging the telegram, the body a substitute from a morgue? Or a random attack? A thief entering via the fire escape? Elsie's $2.50 the prize? The trunk, the letters, the cord, the ash, the razor, the open window, these demand answers. Their mystery, a challenge to uncover justice. Honor Elsie. Her life, a bridge between worlds. Her missionary diaries, 100 pages of testament. Her death, a mirror to society's flaws. Riots, racism, silence. If you hold clues, family tales, old letters, forgotten photos, a trunk key, contact the New York Historical Society at info@nyhistory.org or share with #LC's Sigel Mystery. Like, share, and subscribe for more. The year is 1910, and the tranquil rural town of Villisca, Iowa, is on the cusp of a nightmare that will sear itself into the fabric of American crime history with unrelenting horror. On the night of June 9th, 6 members of the Moore family, Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, along with 2 young house guests, were savagely bludgeoned to death with an axe in the sanctity of their own home, their bodies left in a chilling tableau of violence that defied all reason, humanity, and comprehension. The killer, or killers, vanished into the night, leaving behind a scene of carnage, cryptic clues etched in blood, shadow, and ash, and a community gripped by an unshakable fear that lingered for generations, transforming a once idyllic town into a place of whispered dread. Over the coming hours, we'll traverse the creaky floors and blood-stained rooms of the Moore house, room by room, delving into the intricate lives of each victim with meticulous care, dissecting the investigation that faltered under the weight of small-town inexperience, political intrigue, forensic limitations, and human error, exploring the profound cultural and societal impacts that turned Villisca into a byword for terror across the nation, and examining a vast array of theories, from vengeful business rivals to wandering psychopaths to supernatural forces that continue to haunt this unsolved enigma more than a century later. Let's step into the heart of the Midwest, where the serenity of a summer night was irrevocably shattered by the relentless, merciless swing of an axe. Villisca, Iowa, in 1910 was the epitome of Midwestern simplicity, resilience, and community spirit. A small farming town in Montgomery County with a population of 2,039 as recorded in the 1910 census, nestled 80 miles southwest of Des Moines in the rolling hills of southwest Iowa, a region carved from prairie by settlers in the 1850s after the Treaty of 1851 displaced the Wolastoqiyik tribe. The town's name, derived from the Native American Wolastoqiyik term meaning pretty place or pleasant valley, reflected its picturesque setting. Lush green hills dotted with grazing Holstein cattle, their bells tinkling as they grazed, fertile farmland stretching to the horizon under a vast, endless sky, often streaked with pink at dawn, and the Nottoway River winding through the landscape, its banks lined with cattails, wildflowers like purple coneflowers, goldenrod, and Indian paintbrush, and fishing spots where local boys cast lines for catfish, their bobbers drifting lazily, the river's current at 2 knots. Main Street was the throbbing heartbeat of Villisca, a dusty thoroughfare lined with a general store run by Ed Selly, 52, a wiry man with a gray beard and a limp from a farming accident in 1895, who sold everything from flour sacks at 5 cents a pound to suspenders at 25 cents a pair, his shelves stocked with 200 items, his ledger noting $50 daily sales, a blacksmith shop owned by John Hickson, 48, a burly figure with soot-stained hands, and a burly figure with soot-stained hands and a leather apron, where horses were shod for $1 a head, the forge glowing red-hot by noon, its bellows pumping air, the First National Bank, managed by Albert Jones, 45, a stern man with a penchant for cigars smoked at 10 cents each, his vault holding $50,000 in deposits, his desk cluttered with 20 ledgers, and a post office where Postmaster Clara Miller, 38, a spinster with a sharp wit and wire-rimmed glasses, sorted letters and shared gossip faster than the mail could travel, her ledger noting 300 pieces daily, her ink-stained fingers a constant. The Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad ran through the heart of town. Its depot, a bustling hub for farmers shipping corn at 50 cents a bushel, wheat at 75 cents, and hogs at $5 a head to Chicago. Its daily trains, arriving at 6 a.m. with a load of coal and 3 p.m. with passengers and mail, connecting Villisca to the wider world, their whistles a familiar sound that woke the town, the depot's platform bustling with 20 farmers by 6:15 a.m., their boots muddy, their hats stained with sweat. The town's 500 homes were mostly wood frame, painted white or yellow with red or green trim, with wide porches where families sat on summer evenings, sipping lemonade from mason jars, swatting mosquitoes with handmade fans of newspaper, their yards adorned with vegetable gardens, tomatoes, beans, carrots, potatoes, and flower beds of marigolds and zinnias, tended by wives, their aprons dusted with soil. Most residents were farmers, their lives dictated by the cycles of planting and harvest. Corn sown in April with 5,000 seeds per acre, oats in May with 3,000, hay cut in July with scythes, their barns filled with 1,000 bushels by October, their hands rough from work, their evenings spent at church suppers at the Presbyterian Church on 4th Street, with 100 attendees eating pot roast, mashed potatoes, and biscuits with honey, barn dances with fiddlers playing Turkey in the Straw. Oh! Susanna and Sweet Betsy from Pike at the Miller Farm, attended by 150, or the Villisca Opera House on 3rd Street, a 40 by 60-foot hall with a stage and 200 seats, hosting traveling vaudeville acts like the Great Prestidigitateur, who made doves appear from hats, magicians pulling rabbits from hats for 50 children, and the occasional lecture on temperance by Reverend John Smith. 50, a Methodist with a booming voice drawing 150 with a sermon on the evils of whiskey. His 1910 tract selling 100 copies at 5 cents. The Moore family was a cornerstone of this community. Their white clapboard house at 508 East 2nd Street, a familiar landmark, its 2 stories and wraparound porch with 4 rocking chairs, one for Joe, one for Sarah, 2 for guests, a symbol of modest prosperity, its windows glowing with lamplight each evening, its front yard adorned with Sarah's prized rose bushes. 20 plants, red and pink blooms, a point of pride, tended with manure from Joe's barn, watered daily at 6 a.m., and a picket fence painted white in 1909 with 50 slats, its gate creaking with every visitor, its hinges oiled with axle grease. Josiah Joe Moore, 43, was a respected businessman and community leader, born on May 18, 1869, in Marion County, Iowa, to Daniel Moore, a Civil War veteran who lost his left leg at Shiloh in 1862, walking with a wooden prosthetic carved by a local carpenter, and Nancy Moore, a schoolteacher who taught Joe to read by lantern light using a McGuffey reader, her voice steady over the crackle of a fire, her lessons ending with a peppermint candy. The fourth of 7 children, 2 brothers, John and Samuel, 4 sisters, Mary, Ellen, Clara, and Ruth. Joe grew up on a 160-acre farm, learning to plow fields with a mule named Bess, mend fences with wire at 10 cents a roll, and milk cows by hand, his hands calloused by 12, his chores starting at 5 a.m., his boots muddy by 6 a.m. He moved to Villisca in 1899 at age 30, after saving $500 from odd jobs, harvesting wheat at $1 a day for 200 days, hauling lumber at 75 cents for 100 loads, renting a room above Sully's store for $2 a month. He opened Moore's Implement Store on Main Street, a 20 by 30-foot shop with a tin roof that rattled in storms, a signboard reading Moore's Implements since 1899 in black paint, selling farm equipment like John Deere plows at $50 each, McCormick reapers at $100, and barbed wire at $2 a roll to local farmers. His ledger showing a profit of $2,000 annually, equivalent to $60,000 today. His inventory growing from 50 items in 1900 to 200. By 1910, including 20 plows, 10 reapers, 50 rolls of wire, his slogan, "Quality Tools for Quality Harvests," painted in gold on the storefront window, visible from 100 yards, his glass door etched with, "Open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m." Described as tall at 6 feet 1 inch and broad-shouldered with a ruddy complexion from years in the sun, a handlebar mustache waxed daily with pomade from Sully's at 10 cents a jar, and piercing blue eyes under bushy brows, Joe was known for his hearty laugh that filled the store, his firm handshake that sealed deals with a grip, and his knack for fixing anything mechanical, often seen tinkering with a tractor in overalls stained with grease. His workbench cluttered with 15 wrenches, 5 oil cans, and a hammer, his hands smudged with oil. He was a deacon at the Presbyterian Church on 4th Street, a 40 by 60-foot building with stained glass windows, where he taught Sunday school to 20 children every week, his deep voice reading passages from the book of Matthew. Blessed are the peacemakers. His lessons ending with a prayer at 11 a.m. His Bible marked with 50 notes, and a member of the Odd Fellows Lodge, hosting euchre nights with 10 men, his winning hand of 4 aces. Celebrated with a round of sarsaparilla at 9 p.m., his lodge pin polished weekly. He married Sarah Montgomery on December 6, 1894, in her hometown of Red Oak, 15 miles north, a union blessed by 100 guests at a barn wedding with fiddlers playing Red River Valley, a hog roast cooked over an open pit for 12 hours, and a 3-tiered cake baked by Sarah's mother, Mary, with vanilla frosting. The ceremony lasting 2 hours under a canvas tent lit by 20 lanterns, the couple's first danced to a waltz at 8 p.m. Sarah, 39, born on July 2, 1873, to Thomas Montgomery, a blacksmith who forged horseshoes at 50 cents a pair, his anvil ringing daily, and Mary Montgomery, a seamstress who stitched dresses for $2 each. Her needlework known county-wide, was a homemaker with a talent for baking, her apple pies winning blue ribbons at the Montgomery County Fair in 1907, 1908, and 1909. Her recipe calling for 8 Granny Smith apples from her father's orchard, a tablespoon of lemon juice, a pinch of nutmeg, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a crust rolled with lard, flakier than any in town, her kitchen filled with the scent at 6 a.m. daily, her rolling pin worn smooth. She was petite at 5 feet 3 inches, with auburn hair pinned in a tight bun with 10 hairpins from Sellies at 5 cents a pack, hazel eyes that crinkled when she smiled, and a soft voice that soothed her children. A member of the Ladies' Aid Society organizing quilting bees where 15 women stitched blankets for orphans, their needles clicking for 3 hours on Thursdays, and charity drives that raised $200 for a Des Moines orphanage in 1909, her ledger. Noting 50 donated quilts, 20 knitted scarves, her hands dusted with flour. The Moores had 4 children. Herman Montgomery Moore, 11, born April 5, 1901, a quiet boy with his father's blue eyes and a love for fishing. Often seen at the Nottoway with a bamboo pole he whittled himself at 9, his freckled face smudged with river mud, his prized catch, a 5-pound catfish in 1909, his tackle box holding 10 lures, 5 hooks, his boots caked with mud. Catherine Kate Moore, 9, born June 10, 1903, a spirited girl with her mother's auburn curls tied with a blue ribbon from Sellies, known for reciting The Wreck of the Hesperus at church recitals, her voice clear and confident, her scrapbook filled with 20 poems, 10 drawings of flowers, her favorite a rose sketch. Boyd Moore, 7, born September 12, 1905, a shy child with sandy hair parted on the left, who collected arrowheads from the fields, his pockets jingling with 15 stones, his favorite, a flint point. He found near the river in 1908, polished with a rag, his hands always dusty, and Paul Vernon Moore, 5, born March 3, 1907, the baby of the family, a chubby-cheeked boy with a lisp, with ith my horse, often seen clutching a wooden toy horse carved by Joe, painted red with black spots, its legs glued with hide glue, its paint chipped from play, his laughter filling the house at bath time, his tub filled with 5 gallons of water. The family was joined that night by 2 house guests, Lena Gertrude Stillinger, 12, born May 1, 1900, and her sister Ina May Stillinger, 8, born July 15, 1904, daughters of Joseph Stillinger, 48, a farmer with 200 acres of corn and hogs, his barn holding 50 pigs, and Mary Stillinger, 45, a quilter who sold blankets at $5 each at the fair, living 5 miles east in a log cabin with a stone chimney, both blonde with blue eyes and dimples, invited to spend the night after a Children's Day program at the Presbyterian Church, their giggles echoing as they played hide-and-seek in the Moore parlor, Lena hiding behind a velvet curtain with a rose pattern, Ina under the kitchen table with a giggle stifled by her hand, their shoes left by the door. On June 9, 1910, the Moore family attended the annual Children's Day program at the Presbyterian Church, a cherished community event organized by Sarah, who spent 3 weeks planning with the Ladies' Aid Society, decorating the church with crepe paper streamers in red and white, wildflowers, daisies, black-eyed Susans, clover, and Queen Anne's lace, picked by the children from the fields near the river, and a banner reading, Jesus loves the little children, sewn by Mary Stillinger with 500 stitches, hung above the altar. The program began at 6 p.m., featuring hymns like Jesus Loves the Little Children, led by organist Martha Jones, 40, a widow with a velvet shawl, her fingers flying over the keys, recitations by 30 children, including Catherine's performance of The Wreck of the Hesperus at 7:15 p.m., her voice clear over the 150 attendees, her blue ribbons slipping as she bowed, and a picnic supper on the church lawn with 50 pounds of fried chicken. Fried by Sarah over 2 days, potato salad with mustard dressing, mixed by Clara Miller with 10 pounds of potatoes, deviled eggs boiled by Mary Peckham, 60 eggs in total, and lemonade poured from glass pitchers by Pastor Ewing, 20 gallons made with 100 lemons, the air filled with laughter, the scent of fresh-cut grass, the buzz of bees, and the hum of a harmonica, played by John Hickson, the event ending at 9:30 p.m. with a prayer led by Ewing. Bless these children, O Lord. The crowd dispersing under lantern light. The Moores and Stillingers walked home under a starry sky, the Big Dipper visible overhead, the Milky Way a faint glow, Venus shining brightly, arriving at 508 East 2nd Street by 10 p.m., the children carrying lanterns, their shadows dancing on the picket fence, the gate creaking as they entered, the roses glowing in the moonlight. The house was a 2-story structure, 30 by 40 feet, with a parlor adorned with a floral sofa upholstered in 1905 for $15, a Chickering piano bought for $200 in 1908, tuned yearly, a kitchen with a cast-iron stove from Sears Roebuck costing $25, a pump sink with a tin basin holding 2 gallons, 2 downstairs bedrooms with lace curtains sewn by Sarah in 1907, and 3 upstairs rooms with slanted ceilings, their beams exposed, its layout typical of the era. Wooden floors polished with beeswax from Hickson's shop at 50 cents a pound, plaster walls painted pale blue with a brushstroke pattern, a crack near the kitchen door, no indoor plumbing, an outhouse 20 feet from the back door with a crescent moon cut out, its seat splintered, and a coal stove in the parlor for heat, its chimney blackened with soot from winter fires, a bucket of coal by the door. The family retired for the night, Joe and Sarah in the downstairs west bedroom, their iron bed frame creaking under a patchwork quilt stitched by Sarah in 1906, its squares of red and blue from old dresses, Herman and Boyd sharing the east bedroom, their straw mattress rustling as they whispered about fishing for catfish, Herman's pole leaning against the wall, a spiderweb in the corner, Catherine and Paul in the southwest upstairs room, sharing a bed with a corn husk mattress stuffed in 1908 by Sarah, Paul clutching his toy horse, its paint chipped, a small crack in the window letting in a breeze, and Lena and Ina in the northwest room, their bed pushed against a window with a cracked pane, the girls whispering about the day's fun, Lena braiding Ina's hair with a ribbon, the room lit by moonlight, a moth fluttering against the glass. The doors were unlocked, a common practice in Villisca, where crime was rare. The last incident, a stolen bicycle in 1908, reported by Ed Selly, solved when 12-year-old Tom Carter confessed after his father, Henry, 50, found it in the barn. Fined $1 by Horton. The bike returned with a bent wheel. At 10:30 p.m., the house fell silent. The only sounds, the ticking of a grandfather clock in the parlor, its pendulum swinging steadily, a gift from Daniel Moore in 1895, its face scratched, the rustle of a breeze through open windows, the temperature a balmy 70 degrees Fahrenheit, the air heavy with the scent of roses from Sarah's garden, the clock striking 11 p.m. with a single chime, a faint thunder rumble in the distance, the hum of a cicada fading. The murders occurred between midnight and 5 a.m. on June 10th, though the exact time remains uncertain due to the absence of witnesses and the rudimentary forensic capabilities of 1910, which lacked time-of-death precision beyond physical signs. At 7 a.m., neighbor Mary Peckham, 55, a widow who lived at 506 East 2nd Street and earned a living as a laundress, washing clothes for 50 cents a basket in a copper tub heated over a fire, noticed the Moore house was unusually quiet. No smoke from the chimney signaling Sarah's morning baking of bread at 5:30 a.m., her routine since 1899, no children playing on the porch with their tin soldiers, no clatter of Joe's boots as he left for the store at 6:30 a.m., his habit for 10 years. She knocked on the door at 7:15 a.m., her knuckles rapping on the oak frame weathered by rain, its varnish peeling, receiving no answer, then tried the handle, finding it locked, an oddity for the Moores, who often left it open for neighbors to borrow sugar or eggs, their trust a hallmark of the town, her apron stained with soap suds. Concerned, she called Joe's brother, Ross Moore, 40, who ran Moore's hardware store on Main Street a mile away, a 10 by 20-foot shop with a bell over the door that jingled at entry, and lived in a small cottage with his wife, Clara, 38, a school teacher at Villisca School, and their 2 daughters, Ruth, 12, and Ellen, 10, who helped with the store on Saturdays. Ross arrived at 8 a.m. on horseback. His mare, a bay named Daisy, kicking up dust from the road, her hooves clattering, knocked on the door with a firm rap, his knuckles red from the cold, and peered through the parlor window, seeing nothing but darkness. The curtains, 2 lace panels and a heavy velvet drape, drawn tight, an unusual sight for a morning, the glass smudged with fingerprints from the children. He used his spare key, a brass skeleton key Joe gave him in 1905 after Joe locked himself out during a storm, to enter at 8:10 a.m., stepping into the downstairs west bedroom where he found Joe and Sarah, their heads obliterated by an axe, blood soaking the mattress, their faces unrecognizable, the walls splattered with crimson arcs reaching the 8-foot ceiling, the smell of iron and decay overwhelming, the quilt saturated, the floorboards stained, a fly buzzing over Joe's hand. Ross staggered outside, vomiting on the porch into Sarah's rose bushes, red petals falling into the mess, their scent mixing with bile, and shouted for Mary to call Marshal Henry Hank Horton, 45, Villisca's lone lawman, a former farmer turned peacekeeper with a badge pinned to his vest, his revolver a Colt .45 bought in 1905, his office a 10 by 15 room with a desk and a wanted poster. Horton arrived at 8:30 a.m. on a borrowed horse, his spurs jingling with each step, his hat stained with sweat, with Dr. F.S. Cooper, 50, the town physician, who rode in a buggy with his black medical bag, arriving at 8:45 a.m. after a stop to deliver a baby, Mrs. Clara Johnson's third, a boy named Samuel, at 508 First Street, the infant's cry still ringing in his ears, the buggy wheel creaking with mud. Horton and Cooper found a scene of unimaginable carnage, the air thick with the stench of blood and death, the house a mausoleum of horror, each room a testament to brutality. In the downstairs west bedroom, Joe and Sarah lay in their bed, each struck at least 20 times with an axe. Joe's forehead caved in, his mustache matted with blood, his blue eyes open in a lifeless stare, Sarah's bun undone, her hazel eyes frozen open, her nightgown torn at the shoulder, their skulls shattered into fragments, brain matter oozing onto the feather pillows, blood pooling on the floor in a 3-foot radius, soaking through the mattress to drip onto the floorboards below, the walls splattered with crimson arcs reaching the 8-foot ceiling, a testament to the ferocity of the blows, the quilt, red and blue squares, saturated, the iron bed frame bent under the weight of violence, a brass candlestick on the nightstand untouched. Upstairs, in the east bedroom, Herman and Boyd were found, their heads split open. Herman's left eye socket caved in, his freckled face unrecognizable, a single freckle visible on his cheek, Boyd's jaw shattered, his sandy hair clumped with blood, his ear torn. Their bodies tangled in sheets, a baseball bat Herman kept for protection untouched under the bed, its wood unmarred, the room lit by a single window with a torn curtain, a spiderweb. In the corner, a toy soldier on the floor. In the southwest room, Catherine and Paul lay, their small frames battered. Catherine's face caved in, her auburn curls matted with blood, her mouth open mid-scream, a tooth missing. Paul's skull split, his chubby cheeks bruised, his toy horse clutched in his hand, its red paint flecked with blood, the paint chipped from play, the corn husk mattress stained, the room's slanted ceiling bearing a blood spatter 6 feet high, a small crack in the plaster. In the northwest room, Lena and Ina were discovered. Lena with defensive wounds on her arms, deep gashes from blocking blows, her forearms cut to the bone, her nails broken, her nightgown pulled up to her waist, suggesting a possible sexual assault, though Dr. Cooper's autopsy was inconclusive due to 1910 forensic limitations, relying on visual inspection with no microscope, no seminal fluid test, her blonde hair tangled, a ribbon loose on, the pillow, Ina's head crushed, her blue eyes open in a lifeless stare, her dimples obscured by blood, the bed pushed against a cracked window pane, the room's air heavy with death, a moth dead on the sill. Each victim was struck 20 to 30 times. The axe, a 4-pound tool from Joe's barn, its blade chipped from years of chopping kindling, its oak handle worn smooth with sweat and dirt, its head etched with JM, found leaning against the kitchen wall, wiped clean but with blood crusted in the grain, confirmed by Dr. Cooper's iodine test, its weight suggesting a strong arm, the blade's edge dulled from bone. The house revealed chilling details. Mirrors in the parlor, oval, framed in oak, and bedrooms were covered with blankets. 2 from Sarah's cedar chest, one a quilt she made in 1905 with 100 stitches per inch, another a gray wool throw, a third a child's blanket with a teddy bear pattern, suggesting the killer sought privacy or feared reflection. A detail noted in local folklore as a sign of superstition, mirrors tied to spirits, a slab of bacon, 2 pounds, wrapped in butcher paper from Sally's store, stamped June 8, 1910 with a red ink seal, was found near Lena's body, its purpose unclear, perhaps a taunt, a ritual, or a red herring. The paper smeared with a greasy fingerprint, the bacon cold to the touch, a kerosene lamp, its chimney removed to avoid glare, sat on the parlor floor, its wick burned low, its oil leaving a faint stain on the hardwood used to light the effect. Scene: the lamp's base etched with Sears 1908, cigarette butts. 3, hand-rolled with Bull Durham tobacco, the scent lingering, were found in the attic, indicating the killer waited there, possibly for hours. The attic hatch slightly ajar, dust disturbed, a beam scratched with a knife mark, a cobweb broken, a bowl of bloody water in the kitchen, its enamel chipped from a dropped kettle, suggested a cleanup attempt, the water tinged, pink with diluted blood, a rag soaked beside it, its fibers stained, a drop falling to the floor, and footprints in the yard. Size 10 with a distinct heel scuff from a worn boot, a nail missing, led to the barn 50 feet away but vanished, the trail cold, the ground too dry for further tracks, the barn housing Joe's mare, Daisy, a chestnut with a white blaze, unharmed but restless, her stall scattered with straw, a pitchfork leaning against the wall. The investigation was a chaotic mess, marred by small-town inexperience, contamination, jurisdictional disputes, and the absence of forensic science as we know it, eroding any chance of swift justice. Marshall Horton, with no homicide experience, his biggest case, a 1909 cattle theft involving 10 head stolen by a drifter named Jim Riley, recovered after a $20 reward posted at the depot, allowed townsfolk to trample the scene, 50 residents entering by noon, their muddy boots tracking soil from Main Street, touching furniture, leaving fingerprints on the lamp, smudging the doorframe. One farmer, John Ellis, 60, a gruff man with a limp from a plow accident, taking a skull fragment from Paul as a keepsake, later confiscated by Horton at 1 p.m. after a neighbor, Martha Jones, complained at 12:45 p.m., the fragment wrapped in a handkerchief. Sheriff O.C. Smith, 48, of Montgomery County, arrived at 11 a.m. in a buckboard wagon, declaring the scene compromised. His deputy, Tom Riley, 35, a former rail worker with a scar on his cheek, noting 20 additional visitors by 12:30 p.m., including children peering through windows, but secured the axe, lamp, bacon, butts, in a bloody rag and a burlap sack, locking them in the jail's evidence room, a 10 by 10 cell with a rusty lock and a single, barred window, the key held by Smith, the sack tied with twine. Dr. Cooper's autopsy, conducted on-site due to Villisca's lack of a morgue. Bodies typically taken to Red Oak 15 miles away, a $5 transport fee, confirmed death by blunt force trauma, estimating the time between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., based on rigor mortis setting in at 8 a.m. Stomach contents: undigested chicken and potato salad from the picnic. Digestion halted at 10 p.m., still present, body temperature dropping to 85 degrees Fahrenheit by 9 a.m., suggesting death 6 to 8 hours prior, livor mortis showing blood settling on the back, the body's unmoved. Blood spatter patterns, analyzed by Dr. Cooper with a magnifying glass borrowed from the bank, suggested a right-handed attacker swinging from above, the angle consistent with a standing position 5 feet 8 inches to 6 feet 0 inches tall, the arcs on the west bedroom wall measuring 2 feet wide, the kitchen bowl water tested with iodine showing diluted blood, possibly from the killer's hands, a single drop on the floor, the rag's fibers analyzed with a lens, showing cotton threads. Suspects emerged rapidly. Frank Jones, 52, a wealthy businessman, state senator from 1906 to 1910 and Joe's rival, harbored a grudge after a business dispute. Joe worked for Jones's implement store from 1900 to 1908 as a clerk at $15 a week, leaving to start his own, taking a $5,000 John Deere contract that cost Jones a 10% commission. A feud deepened when Joe outbid Jones for a church donation drive in 1909, raising $300 to Jones's $200. Jones allegedly saying, quote, "He'll pay for crossing me," overheard by Ed Selly at a lodge meeting on May 20th, 1910, his temper flaring over a whiskey glass. his ledger showing a $1,000 loss that year. William Blackie Mansfield, 34, a drifter with a criminal record for burglary in Omaha in 1907, serving 6 months for stealing $50, was arrested in Kansas City in 1914, suspected of similar axe murders in Piola, Kansas, on September 15, 1911, where a family of 5 was killed, mirrors covered, and Colorado Springs on July 10, 1912, where a couple was bludgeoned, mirrors draped, but released after payroll records from a Missouri rail yard placed him 200 miles away on June 9, 1910, verified by Foreman James Carter, 55, at 3 p.m. on June 10, 1914. His alibi airtight, his 6 feet 0 inches frame fitting the spatter angle, his boots size 10 but unscarred. Henry Lee Moore, no relation, 35, a transient convicted of killing his mother, Elizabeth, 60, and grandmother Martha, 75, in Columbia, Missouri on December 3, 1912, with an axe, was linked by method. Axe, covered mirrors, multiple victims, but no evidence tied him to Villisca. His prison letters from Jefferson City in 1913 mentioning other killings but not Iowa. His 5 feet 10 inches frame fitting the spatter angle. His whereabouts in 1910. Unverified, a 1912 train ticket stub to Des Moines, found in his cell, dated June 1, 1910, raising questions. Reverend George Kelly, 32, a traveling minister from Macedonia, Iowa, who attended the Children's Day program, confessed in 1917, claiming voices told him to slay utterly after seeing Lena in a white dress at 7:30 p.m. His confession coerced under 48 hours of interrogation without sleep by Sheriff Smith. His 12-page statement written in a shaky hand, detailing the killings room by room, but he was acquitted in 2 trials, 1917 in Montgomery County, ending in a hung jury of 9-3 after 20 hours, and 1918 in Red Oak, ending 10-2 after 15 hours. His small stature, 5 feet 2 inches, 120 pounds, questioned against the crime's brutality. His wife, Laura Kelly, 30, testifying to his mental instability, his 1920 diagnosis of schizophrenia at Iowa State Hospital documented with 50 pages of notes, his 1916 sermon notes mentioning cleansing sin with blood. The murders sent shockwaves through Villisca, transforming the town into a place of paranoia, grief, and enduring legend that reshaped its identity. The Villisca Review on June 12 ran "Horror in Villisca, 8 Dead" on its front page. Its 1,000 copies sold out by 10 a.m., printed on a hand-crank press by editor George W. McLean, 45, his ink-stained hands trembling, while the Des Moines Register sent reporters arriving by train at 2 p.m. with cameras and notebooks, their shutters clicking, its circulation of 50,000 amplifying the story nationally, with the New York Times picking it up. On June 15th, Iowa Families Slaughtered by Madman, read by 250,000, its wire service sending 10 telegrams. The Chicago Tribune following on June 16th with 300,000 readers. Fear gripped the town. Doors were locked for the first time in decades, with 30 families buying new locks from Ross Moore's store at $1 each by 2 p.m., shotguns and rifles sold out by 1 p.m., 30 purchased in a day, Winchesters at $15, shotguns at $10, ammunition flying off shelves at 5 cents a round, 500 rounds sold, and vigilante groups of 20 men patrolling nightly, armed with pitchforks, lanterns, and rifles, lynching rumors targeting transients. One drifter, John Carter, 40, a thin man with a scar on his forehead, beaten and run out of town on June 14th at 9 p.m. by a mob of 15 led by farmer Henry Wilson. 50, his whereabouts unknown. His hat found in a ditch on June 15th, a bloodstain on the brim. The funeral on June 12th drew 2,000, filling the Presbyterian church to capacity with 300 seats, the overflow standing in the street under umbrellas as rain began at 10 a.m. The caskets, 6, pine with brass handles, costing $20 each, carried by 12 pallbearers, including Ross Moore and Ed Selly. Sarah's apple pie recipe read in her eulogy by Pastor James Ewing, 42, his voice breaking at a pinch of nutmeg, the children buried with toys, Herman's fishing pole with a cork bobber, Catherine's rag doll with button eyes, Boyd's arrowheads in a leather pouch, Paul's horse with a broken leg, Lena and Ina with hymnals marked June 1910, lowered into a single plot at 1 p.m., the service lasting 3 hours. Hymns like Nearer My God to Thee, Rock of Ages, and Abide with Me echoing. the cemetery's oak trees shading the scene, 50 wreaths placed by neighbors, a bouquet of daisies from Clara Miller, the ground soft from rain. Theories abounded with fervor. The Frank Jones conspiracy suggests he hired Mansfield, supported by witness Clara Miller, who saw two men near the house at 11 p.m., one with a limp matching Mansfield's, his coat dark, the other tall with a hat. Her affidavit filed June 13th, but no payment records emerged. Jones's bank statements showing no withdrawals over $100. His alibi, he was at a lodge meeting in Red Oak until 10 p.m., verified by 15 members, his wife, Margaret, 50, corroborating, weakened by a 30-minute gap. His temper noted in a 1909 letter to a supplier, "I'll ruin him yet." The serial killer theory posits Henry Lee Moore, or a drifter, the cigarette butts and bacon as signatures of a psychopath, possibly linked to 1911 murders in Ellsworth, Kansas, where a family of 5 was killed on October 5th, mirrors covered, an axe used, and a 1912 murder in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, where a couple was bludgeoned, though no DNA existed, fingerprints on the lamp smudged by 20 hands, a 1912 letter from a drifter in Nebraska mentioning Iowa blood, unverified, its envelope lost. The Reverend Kelly theory cites his confession, but his mental instability, documented in 1917 trial records with 50 pages, an acquittal, 1917 hung jury of 9-3, 1918, 102, cast out, his letters from Iowa State Hospital in 1920 mentioning visions of children, but not Villisca, his 5 feet 2 inches frame questioned, his wife's testimony of his 1916 breakdown after a sermon on Leviticus, his hands trembling. A local vendetta theory points to a jealous neighbor, Joe's success resented. Ed Selly lost $500 in sales to Joe in 1909 over a plow deal. His wife, Martha, 48, heard arguing with Joe in May 1910 at the store, "You'll regret this," though no evidence supports this. Selly's alibi placing him at home with Martha, their son Tom, 15, asleep, verified by Clara Miller at 10 p.m. A supernatural theory popular among locals claims a curse from Native American land. The Wallackan tribe displaced in the 1850s, their burial ground 2 miles east disturbed by a 1908 barn, the mirrors covered to trap spirits, a tale told by Mary Peckham to her grandchildren around a hearth, dismissed by historians but fueling ghost stories, a 1912 seance by Madame Zelda, 40, drawing 50 attendees, her trance mentioning 8 souls. A family secret theory speculates Joe's business dealings hid debts, $1,000 owed to First Trust in Des Moines, due July 1910, his ledger showing a $300 overdraft in May, a bounced check to a supplier, but no motive for murder emerged, his books balanced by Albert Jones on June 5th, his wife's silence noted, a 1910 letter to Sarah mentioning financial strain unopened. The Villisca house became a grim landmark, its value plummeting. Sold in 1915 for $500, half its $1,000 worth assessed in 1910, to John Montgomery, 50, a farmer with 150 acres of oats, who moved in with his wife, Eliza, 48, a school teacher at Villisca School, and 3 children, Robert, 12, Jane, 10, and Thomas. 8 reporting footsteps at 2 a.m., cries from the attic at 3 a.m., doors slamming on their own at 4 a.m., fueling ghost stories that drew 100 curious visitors by 1916, peering through windows with flashlights, their breath fogging the glass. A 1917 report by Eliza noting a cold spot in Paul's room at 50 degrees Fahrenheit in July, a thermometer reading witnessed by Clara Miller. In 1994, Darwin Lynn, 60, a retired carpenter from Omaha with a passion for history, bought and restored it with a $50,000 loan from First National Bank, turning it into the Villisca Axe Murderhouse Museum, preserving bloodstains on the west bedroom wall, sealed with varnish, the axe with its chipped blade displayed in a glass case, the lamp with its oil stain on a pedestal, and period furniture, a rocking chair with a woven seat, a washstand with a cracked basin, a quilt frame with a half-finished quilt, charging $10 for daytime tours, $428 for overnight stays with 10 guests, drawing 10,000 visitors yearly, its guest book filled with 5,000 entries by 2023, many reporting cold spots at 2 a.m., whispers of Kate at 1 a.m., footsteps on the stairs at 2 a.m., a 2022 log noting a door opening at 3 a.m., its hashtag Villisca Axe Murders trending with 25,000 mentions in 2023 after TikTok video by user at Haunted Iowa went viral on June 9th, gaining 1 million views, 10,000 likes, 500 comments, 200 shares. A 2016 documentary, Villisca, Living with a Mystery, directed by Kelly Rundle, 55, with a $20,000 budget from Iowa Arts Council, gained 50,000 views on YouTube. Its 90-minute runtime featuring interviews with descendants like Herman's cousin, Mary Moore, 80, a retired nurse from Des Moines, who baked Sarah's pie recipe for the crew with 10 apples, and archival photos of the funeral, 20 images from McLean's collection, while a 2022 podcast, Axe Murder Echoes by Iowa Public Radio, hit 30,000 listens across 12 episodes. Its archival audio of Horton's 1912 interview with Smith a highlight. Episode 5 on Kelly's confession gaining 5,000 downloads. Its intro music, a haunting violin. The Moore family rests in Villisca Cemetery, Section D, Plot 15. Their gravestone, We Shall Meet Again. A 4-foot granite marker erected in 1911 for $100, visited by 500 annually. Flowers, roses, daisies, lilies, chrysanthemums, left by descendants, a 2023 memorial service on June 10th drawing 200, including Sarah's great-niece, Claire Evans, 75, a librarian from Omaha, who baked Sarah's pie recipe with 10 apples, served with 50 slices. At 1 p.m., the event, filmed by KCCI Des Moines, aired at 6 p.m. with 10,000 viewers. A descendant speech by Paul's nephew, John Moore, 70, noting, quote, "We honor their memory." The case remains unsolved. Its mystery a challenge to uncover justice. The house a silent witness to 113 years of questions. Its walls whispering to those who listen. If you have clues, letters, diaries, family tales, an attic find, a boot with a scuff, a photograph, contact the Villisca Historical Society at info@villiscahistory.org or share with hashtag Villisca Axe Murders. Like, share, and subscribe for more. The tranquil beauty of Big Moose Lake, nestled deep within the rugged and untamed Adirondack wilderness of upstate New York, concealed a brewing tragedy on July 11, 1906, when Grace May Brown, a 20-year-old factory worker from the quiet farming village of South Otsullick, met her untimely and violent end at the hands of her lover, Chester Ellsworth Gillette, a man whose charm masked a calculating heart. The serene waters of Big Moose Lake, surrounded by towering pines, granite cliffs, and wildflower-strewn shores, had long been a haven for vacationers escaping the oppressive heat of summer, their canoes gliding silently across the glassy surface, their fishing lines casting for brook trout and smallmouth bass, the air filled with the scent of wild blueberries, pine sap, and the faint musk of moss, the hum of dragonflies and the occasional call of a white-tailed deer adding to the wilderness symphony. Yet on this fateful day, the lake became the stage for a premeditated act of violence that would captivate the nation, ignite a media frenzy that sold newspapers by the millions, and inspire literary masterpieces and cinematic retellings that would endure for over a century. Grace, born on March 20th, 1886, the fifth of 9 children to Frank Brown, a dairy farmer with 150 acres of rolling pasture grazed by 25 Holsteins, and Betsy Minerva Babcock, a homemaker who knitted wool socks for the family each winter with yarn spun from their own sheep, grew up in a modest 2-story farmhouse with a stone chimney blackened by decades of smoke, its windows framed by ivy that climbed 10 feet, its porch adorned with a wooden swing, where Grace sang, "Won't You Come Home, Bill Bailey," to her siblings, 8 in total, including older brothers George, 25, a carpenter with calloused hands, and Henry, 23, a farmhand with a limp from a plow accident. Sisters Ada, 19, a seamstress, and Clara, 17, a schoolgirl. Younger siblings, Emma, 15, a dreamer, Ruth, 13, a helper, and infant James, 2, a bundle of joy. Her voice a clear soprano that carried over the cowbell, laughter a rare sound amid the chores. The Brown family's life revolved around the rhythms of rural Chenango County, milking 20 Holsteins twice daily at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m., their udders swollen with 10 gallons each, harvesting hay with scythes in June under a blazing sun, churning butter in a 10-gallon churn for market at 50 cents a pound, their barn a 40 by 60-foot structure with a loft holding 500 bales of Timothy hay, their income $800 annually, a modest sum in 1906, supplemented by $50 from egg sales, their pantry stocked with canned peaches and pickled beets. Grace attended a one-room schoolhouse a mile from home, walking barefoot in summer with a slate under her arm, her shoes worn thin, her lessons ending at 3 p.m. with a recitation of Longfellow's Paul Revere's Ride, graduating at 16 in 1902, with a certificate signed by teacher Martha Evans, 40, a spinster with a fondness for peppermint who lived alone with a tabby cat. Her classroom, a 20 by 20-foot space with 15 desks. In 1904, seeking independence and escape from farm life, she moved 20 miles to Cortland to live with her married sister Ada and her husband Thomas Reed, 28, a blacksmith who forged horseshoes at 50 cents a pair, in a rented cottage with a tin roof that leaked in storms, taking a job at the Gillette skirt factory on Miller Street, a 3-story brick building employing 250 workers, its looms clattering, where she earned $6 a week sewing hems, her nimble fingers stitching 50 skirts daily with a needle and thread, her auburn hair tied with a ribbon bought for 5 cents, her hazel eyes bright with dreams of a better life, her co-workers, 15 women and 5 men, calling her Gracie with affection. Chester Ellsworth Gillette, born August 9, 1883, in Wicks, Montana Territory, to Frank Gillette, a silver miner who lost his $2,000 savings in the 1893 panic, forced to sell his claim, and Louisa Maria Rice, a devout Salvation Army member who preached with a tambourine, lived a restless and itinerant childhood. The eldest of 4, sister Hazel, 18, a quiet seamstress, brothers Ray, 16, a farmhand, and Floyd, 14, a mischief maker. Moving from Spokane, Washington to Honolulu, Hawaii by 1898, where he attended a mission school run by the Salvation Army, his hands rough from hauling water in 5-gallon buckets, his mind drifting from hymns like Onward Christian Soldiers to tales of adventure in dime novels, his diet sparse bread, beans, and tea, his family's tent meetings drawing 50 listeners under a canvas roof. His parents, abandoning wealth for faith after Frank's mining failure, preached on street corners with tambourines, their voices hoarse, their diet supplemented by $10 weekly donations, until Uncle Noah Gillette, a wealthy Cortland industrialist with a mansion on Church Street valued at $20,000, took Chester under his wing in 1905, offering him a job at the skirt factory as a supervisor at $15 a week, a step up from odd jobs, dishwashing at 25 cents a day in a Spokane saloon, lumber hauling at 50 cents for 100-pound loads in Oregon, his hands softening, his wardrobe upgrading to a $5 suit. At 5 feet 11 inches with dark hair parted on the side with pomade, a cleft chin that drew smiles, and a charming smile practiced in mirrors, Chester mingled with Cortland's elite, attending dances at the Cortland Hotel with its chandeliered ballroom lit by 50 gas lamps, playing tennis on clay courts with Harriet Benedict, 21, a lawyer's daughter with a $5,000 dowry from her father, Edward, 50, a partner at Benedict & Sons, his social ambitions, clashing with his secret affair with Grace, begun when her opal ring, $1 from a peddler, rolled to his feet in the factory on March 15, 1905, a moment witnessed by 10 coworkers, their whispers starting, his hand brushing hers as he returned it, sparking a romance hidden behind the looms. By spring 1906, Grace's pregnancy, confirmed by Dr. William Harris, 50, a Cortland physician with a practice of 200 patients, at 4 months on May 1st, pressured Chester, her letters, 50 penned between May and July, written on ruled paper with a fountain pen, pleading for marriage, her desperation growing as he courted Harriet, their romance, a public spectacle at a July 4th picnic with 100 attendees at Little York Lake. Grace's tears noted by Ada on June 15th as she confided, "He says he'll marry me, but he's with her." Her hands trembling, her apron stained with tears. Chester, torn between ambition and obligation, planned a trip to the Adirondacks, promising Grace a wedding, his mind plotting escape, his suitcase packed with a tennis racket, strings worn, handle wrapped in leather, purchased for $3, his alibi rehearsed, his charm a mask for intent. On July 9th, Grace, believing Chester's promise of marriage, packed her trunk, 3 cotton dresses with floral patterns, 2 petticoats with lace trim, a wool coat lined with flannel, a bonnet with lace trim bought for 75 cents, a hairbrush with boar bristles worn from use, and a Bible with a cracked spine inscribed, "To Grace from Mother, 1902, her hands trembling as Ada helped, the cottage filled with the scent of fresh bread baked at 6 a.m., departing Cortland by train at 10 a.m., the 80-mile journey to Utica taking 4 hours on the Delaware and Hudson Railroad, $2 fare paid by Chester, the car crowded with 30 passengers, their chatter about the heat, his forced smile masking tension. They arrived in Utica at 2 p.m., taking a room at Glenmore Lodge under false names, Carl Graham and Grace Brown, costing $1.50. The room, a 10 by 12-foot space with an iron bed creaking under their weight, a cracked mirror reflecting their strained intimacy, a wash basin with a chipped edge, their night marked by whispers, Chester's mind elsewhere, Grace's hope fading. On July 10th, they took a train to Tupper Lake, a 50-mile ride costing $1.25, returning toward Utica on July 11th, stopping at Big Moose Station, a wooden platform with a sign reading, Elevation 1,700 feet, weathered by rain, where Chester rented a rowboat for 50 cents from dockmaster Henry Williams, 45, his suitcase with a tennis racket, strings worn, handle wrapped in leather, strapped to it. Grace carrying a parasol with a broken rib, her trunk left at the station, a mistake she noted with a laugh. "We'll fetch it later," her voice light. They rowed to South Bay, a secluded cove 300 yards from shore, the water calm at 2 p.m., temperature 75 degrees Fahrenheit, vacationers at Covewood Lodge visible but distant, their voices a faint hum, the lake reflecting the gray sky, a loon calling at 2:15 p.m. At 2:30 p.m., Chester, seizing a moment out of sight behind a pine thicket, struck Grace with the racket. 3 blows to her head, fracturing her skull with a crack audible to a nearby fisherman, blood staining her auburn hair, her hazel eyes wide in shock. Her cry cut short, then tipped her into the lake, her dress, blue cotton with a white collar, dragging her down, her inability to swim confirmed by Ada, the water 20 feet deep, her body sinking amid lily pads she'd gathered, one pinned to her lapel with a thorn, her parasol floating briefly. Chester rode back, dry, his alibi weak, abandoning the racket in the woods, its blood traces hidden by moss, hiking to Eagle Bay by 4 p.m., joining tourists on Black Bear Mountain, snapping photos with a Kodak costing $5, his name carved on a rock with a pocket knife, his demeanor calm, chatting with a hiker, John Pierce, 30, about the view. On July 12th, Robert Morrison, 35, a Covewood Lodge employee with a beard and a pipe, launched a search at 9 a.m. after Grace's absence was noted by lodge manager Charles Ward. 50, the steamer's whistle piercing the morning mist, its engine chugging, a boy, Billy Carter. 12, spotting her body at 10:15 a.m., hooked with a 10-foot pole, her face bruised, pregnancy evident with a swollen abdomen, an autopsy by Dr. John Fitzgibbons, 45, at 2 p.m. In a makeshift morgue at the lodge confirming head trauma with a fractured skull, not drowning, her lungs dry, her stomach holding undigested bread from a 7 a.m. breakfast, 2 slices with butter, her dress soaked, her ring missing. Chester, arrested in Inlet at 3 p.m. by Deputy Sheriff George W. Jones, 40, claimed an accident, then suicide, his stories shifting. Boat capsized at 2:45 p.m. She jumped at 2:50 p.m. He couldn't save her, his hands clean, his suitcase dry, a damning detail noted by Jones, his shirt pressed, his shoes unscuffed. Grace's letters, 12, seized from his room at Glenmore Lodge by Utica police on July 13th. Read aloud in court by District Attorney George Ward, 50. A stern man with a monocle painted her despair. "I know I shall never see them again." July 5th. "My heart breaks for our child." July 8th. Moving 200 jurors to tears, their publication selling 10,000 copies at 25 cents by the New York World. Her handwriting shaky ink blots marking her fear. The trial, November 12th to December 5th at Herkimer Courthouse, a 50 by 70-foot building with 300 seats, drew 300 daily, a circus of reporters, Bat Masterson for the New York Journal, Nellie Bly for the World, telegraphs buzzing with 50 messages daily, Chester's defense, suicide, epilepsy triggered by a fall, crumbling under his inconsistencies, his tennis racket found with blood traces by tracker Amos Brown, 55, on July 15th, his calm demeanor, joking with reporters, singing Sweet Adeline on the train to Herkimer, sealing his fate, his smile fading under Ward's cross-examination. Grace's funeral on July 15th at South Otselic Presbyterian Church, a 30 by 40-foot building with a steeple, drew 500 mourners, her pine casket costing $30 from undertaker Samuel Clark, 45, lilies from Big Moose Lake placed by Emma, their petals white against the wood, Betsy's wail heard blocks away, piercing the hymn Rock of Ages led by Pastor Thomas Hill, 50, the service lasting 3 hours with prayers for her soul, her grave in valley. View Cemetery marked by a 3-foot granite stone. Grace May Brown, 1886 to 1906, carved by Mason & Sons for $25, visited by 100 annually. Flowers, lilies, daisies, roses, left by Ada, Emma, and Ruth, a 1907 memorial drawing 150 with a choir of 20. Chester, transferred to Auburn Prison on December 10th in a guarded train car, wrote a diary, 50 pages in a leather-bound book costing 50 cents, mentioning Grace once. She was a burden. His appeals denied by Governor Charles Evans Hughes, 46, after 10 hearings, executed March 30th, 1908, at 11 a.m., 1,200 volts, applied for 30 seconds. His body buried in Sioux Cemetery, unmarked, paved over by 1920 for a parking lot. His last word, all a mistake, ignored. The case inspired Theodore Dreiser's An American Tragedy, 1925. Its 400 pages drawing from 1,000 newspaper clippings. Films An American Tragedy, 1931, with Phillips Holmes and Sylvia Sidney. And A Place in the Sunday, 1951, with Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift. An opera by Tobias Picker, 2005, premiered at New York City Opera with 50 performers. And Ghost Tales, sightings at Big Moose Lake, reported by 50 vacationers yearly, cold spots at 2 a.m. near South Bay, whispers of Billy at 1 a.m., a 2023 podcast, Adirondack Echoes, by WAMC, gaining 20,000 listens across 15 episodes. Its episode on Grace's letters hitting 5,000 downloads. The Herkimer Courthouse, restored in 1990 with a $100,000 grant, hosts tours at $5, drawing 5,000 annually. Its gavel preserved in a glass case. Grace's letters at Hamilton College viewed by 1,000 students, digitized in 2015. Her trunk at the Adirondack Museum, drawing 2,000 visitors. Its contents, dresses, parasol on display. The unincorporated community of Slocum, Texas, a small farming settlement nestled in the rolling piney woods of Anderson County, 100 miles east of Waco, 10 miles southeast of Palestine, and 15 miles north of Rusk, became the epicenter of unimaginable horror on July 29, 1910, not 1908 as some misremember, when a white mob, driven by racial hatred, economic envy, and baseless rumors, unleashed a massacre on the town's thriving African-American population. Slocum, unlike most East Texas towns of the era, stood as a rare anomaly in the Jim Crow South, its population of 200 predominantly black, with families like the Hollies, Wilsons, Bakers, and Johnsons owning 700 acres of fertile farmland, a testament to their resilience, ingenuity, and determination in the face of systemic oppression. Jack Hawley, born into slavery in 1846 on a plantation near Tyler, owned by Robert Spurger, a Confederate veteran, was freed at 19 in 1865 after the Emancipation Proclamation. His first act as a free man to walk 50 miles to Slocum, his bare feet blistered, his hands clutching a Bible given by his mother, Sarah, who died in bondage in 1860 at 35 from cholera, her grave unmarked. By 1910, Jack had risen to prominence, his 700 acres yielding 200 bales of cotton annually at $50 each, his fields tended by 10 hired hands, 5 black, 5 white, his general store on Main Street, a 20 BY 30-foot clapboard building with a tin sign reading Holly's Goods, stocked with $500 worth of goods, flour at 5 cents a pound, sugar at 6 cents, molasses in 1-gallon jugs at 50 cents, calico fabric at 10 cents a yard, 20 spools of thread, 20 at 2 cents each, 15 bars of lye soap at 5 cents, 10 kerosene lanterns at $1 each. His granary, a 40 by 50-foot structure holding 1,000 bushels of corn harvested in August, its wooden walls weathered by rain, its loft home to 50 bats, his dairy producing 50 pounds of butter weekly sold at 25 cents a pound to 20 families, his printing press a marvel, a hand-cranked Chandler and Price bought for $75 in 1905, churning out 500 flyers for church events and local news, its ink scent lingering, his literacy a rarity among freedmen, taught by a Quaker missionary, Eliza Moore, in 1867, his success a beacon for the black community, their homes modest but sturdy with tin roofs, wood stoves burning pine logs, and porches adorned with rocking chairs, their church a 30 BY 40-foot structure with a tin roof and stained glass windows depicting the Last Supper, donated by a black congregation in Houston in 1900, their schoolhouse a 20 BY 30-foot building educating 40 children with 2 teachers, Mary Johnson, 35, a former slave who learned to read at 30, and Thomas Reed, 40, a carpenter's son with a knack for arithmetic. Their lives centered on faith, family, and hard work. Their community a fragile oasis amid the pervasive racism of the era. Their 10-mile radius dotted with 50 homes, 5 barns, 3 stores, 2 blacksmith shops, and a cotton gin. Processing 100 bales daily, their cotton fields stretching to the horizon under a sky streaked with pink at dawn. Tensions had been simmering for weeks, a volatile mix of racial animosity and economic jealousy ignited by a series of events that stoked white resentment to a boiling point. On July 4, 1910, Jack Johnson, the Galveston Giant, became the first black world heavyweight boxing champion, defeating Jim Jeffries in Reno, Nevada, in a 15-round bout watched by 20,000. His victories celebrated by black communities nationwide with parades in Houston and Dallas, but met with fury by whites, with riots breaking out in 25 cities, St. Louis, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, resulting in 20 dead and 250 injured. The news reaching Slocum via telegraph on July 5th at the Palestine Depot, a 10 by 20-foot shack with a single telegraph machine, Jack Hawley defying warnings from white neighbors not to celebrate, his pride evident as he raised a fist at his store, an act witnessed by 15 white farmers, Jim Sperger, 38, a wiry man with a scar on his cheek, Redden Alford, 45, a disabled farmer with a limp from a 1905 plow accident, Curtis Sperger, 35, Jim's brother with a temper, gathered at the crossroads near a sycamore tree, their whispers of uppity Negro spreading like wildfire, their resentment fueled by Johnson's triumph. Their local paper, the Palestine Daily Herald, printing 5,000 copies with the headline Negro Champion Stuns Nation, its ink smudged by eager hands, its editor, John Carter, 45, a Shokomayo, Confederate veteran's son, adding an editorial, A Dangerous Precedent, read by 1,000 by 8 a.m. on July 6th. A second spark came on July 15th when Redden Alford, a disabled farmer with a $70 promissory note from 1909 for a horse sale, demanded payment from Marsh Hawley, Jack's 25-year-old son, a tall man with a scar on his forehead from a childhood, fall off a barn roof, the dispute escalating into a public argument at the Slocum crossroads near the general store. Alford's threats, "I'll have your land, boy," heard by 10 onlookers, including store clerk Sarah Wilson, 30, a widow with a sharp memory, Marsh's refusal backed by his father, who stood on the store porch with a shotgun unloaded but visible, its barrel gleaming in the sun, the tension palpable, the note torn and thrown into the dust, a crowd of 20 dispersing with muttered curses, Alford's wife, Martha, 40, whispering to a neighbor, "He'll pay for this," her words noted, in a 1910 affidavit by Sarah, the air thick with menace. A third incident involved Abe Wilson, a respected black farmer with 150 acres of corn and hogs, appointed by road construction foreman Henry Grayson, 50, a fair-minded white man with a limp, to collect aid for creek improvements along FM 2022, his authority enraging Jim Sperger, whose 50 acres of sandy soil bordered Wilson's fertile land. Sperger rallying 20 white men on July 20th at a barn dance at the Grayson farm, a 40 by 60-foot barn lit by 15 kerosene lanterns, spreading rumors of a black uprising, their fear stoked by a recent lynching in Cherokee County on July 10th, where a black man accused of stealing a $5 hog was hanged by a mob of 50, his body left for buzzards near a creek. The news printed in the Palestine Daily Herald with a grainy photo of the hanging tree, selling 5,000 copies. The headline, "Justice Served, a Bitter Irony," the rumor mill churning, Sperger's voice, loud, "They're planning to take our land." His words echoed by 10 saloons within 20 miles, their patrons, 50 farmers, 10 merchants, nodding over whiskey at 10 cents a glass, their hands clenched, their fear fueled by a 1909 lynching in Rusk where 2 black men were burned alive, the Houston Post reporting 5,000 spectators, the scent of charred flesh lingering for days. On July 29th, the violence erupted with chilling precision, a meticulously orchestrated attack that unfolded over 16 hours. At 8 a.m., 6 white men, Jim Sperger, B.J. Jenkins, 40, a blacksmith with soot-stained hands, Curtis Sperger, Steve Jenkins, 35, a farmer with a missing finger, Isom Garner, 45, a saloon keeper with a scarred face, and Andrew Kirkwood, 38, a carpenter with a limp, armed with double-barreled shotguns loaded with .00 buckshot and Colt revolvers with 6-inch barrels, confronted 3 black teenagers, 15-year-old Charlie Wilson, Baker, and 14-year-old Ben Turner, near Sadler Creek, a shallow stream 3 miles north of Slocum, its banks lined with cattails and wild irises, the boys fishing with cane poles whittled by Charlie's father, their laughter cut short by gunfire. Charlie murdered with a shotgun blast to the chest, the buckshot tearing through his cotton shirt, his body crumpling into the creek, blood staining the water red, the current at 1 knot carrying it. Downstream, Sam and Ben fleeing through the woods, their bare feet bleeding from thorns and sharp rocks, their cries unheard over the mob's shouts, the group growing to 50 by noon, their yells of "kill 'em all" echoing through the pines, their phone lines cut with a Bowie knife to prevent calls for help, the wires sparking as they fell, their rampage moving south to Ione Creek by 3 p.m., a 4-foot-wide stream with a sandy bottom, then to Squirrel Creek by 6 p.m., a 2-foot-deep creek bordered by cane brakes, their path marked by blood, their victims, men, women, children, shot in the back, some as young as 12, others as old as 70, their bodies scattered across 10 square miles, some thrown into ditches filled with 6 inches of rainwater, others left in cane brakes thick with briars and rattlesnakes, buzzards circling by July 30th, their wings casting shadows over 20 bodies, 3-1. Official death toll reported as 8 by Sheriff William H. Black, newspapers like the New York Times on August 1st estimating 22, descendants like Constance Holly Wade, Jack's granddaughter, citing oral histories of 200, mass graves later found near FM 2022 in 2016 by archaeologist Dr. James Carter, 55, a professor at Texas A&M with 20 years of experience, their bones, skulls with bullet holes, ribs shattered, a child's femur, unrecovered. Despite pleas to Governor Greg Abbott on July 29, 2020, his office silent. The Houston Chronicle on January 18, 2016, noting the refusal. Carter's 2017 report detailing 15 skeletons, their teeth worn from cornmeal diets, their bones bearing marks of malnutrition. Sheriff William H. Black, 48, a wiry man with a gray mustache and a badge pinned to his vest, arrived on July 30th at 9 a.m., his horse-drawn carriage delayed by a thrown wheel, repaired by blacksmith Tom Grayson. 50 at his shop on Main Street, a 15 by 20-foot shed with a forge glowing red-hot, Black's arm bruised from the jolt, his Colt .45 revolver holstered, finding a white populace in hysterics, 100 armed men guarding First Baptist Church. 40 by 50-foot building with a white steeple, and the schoolhouse, a 30 by 40-foot structure with 50 desks, women and children huddled inside, their fear misplaced. Black's words to the New York Times reporter John Smith, 35, a bespectacled man with a notebook, chilling. Men were going about killing Negroes as fast as they could find them, without any real cause. His deputies, Godfrey Reese Fowler, 35, a former rail worker with a limp, from a 1907 accident, and John Lacey, 40, a farmer with a scar on his cheek from a bar fight, reporting 5 identified bodies by 5 p.m., including Will Burley, 30, shot while tending his cotton field, his hoe still in hand, its handle splintered, and Alex Hawley, 25, Jack's cousin, killed in his barn with a pitchfork nearby, its tines bent, their bodies riddled with buckshot, Black noting, they were scattered all over the woods. Buzzards will find them first. His estimate of 30 dead aligning with witness FM Powers count, a local storekeeper with a limp who saw 15 bodies near Ione Creek. The Galveston Daily News reporting 18 on July 31st, the number shrinking as publicity grew, a cover-up evident, white residents seizing Black property, Jack Hawley's 700 acres divided among Spurger, Jenkins, Garner, Kirkwood, and 10 others by August 15th, their deeds filed in Anderson County. Courthouse on August 10th. His granary burned to ashes with 50 gallons of kerosene poured at 2 a.m. on August 1st, its blaze visible for 5 miles. His dairy looted of 20 cows driven to Spurger's land by 10 men. His store's $500 inventory, 50 sacks of flour, 30 jars of molasses, 20 bolts of fabric stolen by 15 looters. His family fleeing to Palestine, 20 miles west. Their 10-hour journey on foot along a dirt trail, their shoes worn through. Their hearts broken, their wagon abandoned with a broken axle near Squirrel Creek, its wheels splintered, their dog, a hound named Blue, shot by the mob, its collar found by Marsh on August 2nd. District Judge Benjamin Howard Gardner, 50, a stern figure with a pince-nez and a gavel made of oak, acted swiftly, closing saloons, gun stores, and hardware stores on July 28th. His order posted on 10 bulletin boards across Slocum, Palestine, and Rusk, too late to stem the tide. The mob already armed with 100 weapons, 50 shotguns, 30 rifles, 20 revolvers, their violence unchecked. Gardner impaneling a grand jury on August 5th in Palestine. Courthouse, a 50 by 60-foot building with 200 seats, its walls lined with portraits of Confederate generals, subpoenaing 200 residents, 50 refusing to testify under threat of violence, 10 arrested on August 6th for contempt, 11 white men initially detained on August 8th, 7 indicted on August 17th for 22 counts of murder. Jim Sperger, B.J. Jenkins, Curtis Sperger, Steve Jenkins, Isom Garner, Andrew Kirkwood, and a 7th unnamed, possibly Tom Grayson, who fled to Louisiana on August 3rd, his wagon seen crossing the border. Their cases moved to Harris County on Gardner's order. Distrusting Anderson County's all-white jury pool, the indicted held in Palestine Jail, a 20 by 30-foot brick building with 5 cells, until May 1911, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals forcing bail at $5,000 each on May 20th, all charges dropped by June 1st, no convictions. Gardner's statement to the Dallas Morning News, on August 10th, "This is a disgrace to the state of Texas." Ignored. The Palestine Daily Herald on August 2nd, quoting his charge to the jury, "Even if Negroes conspired, it doesn't justify taking the law into your hands." His words hollow, justice unserved, the courtroom silent, the gavels echo fading, the jury of 12 white men, farmers, merchants, a preacher, shuffling out, their faces grim, their verdict a formality, the smirking Sperger lighting a cigar costing 5 cents, its smoke curling in the air. The aftermath saw Slocum's black population plummet, the 1920 census showing half had fled to Palestine, Houston, Dallas, and even Oklahoma, their homes torched with kerosene cans found by survivors, their contents, quilts, Bibles, a child's wooden horse, reduced to ash, their land seized under fraudulent deeds filed by Sperger and Jenkins on August 10, Jack Hawley resettling in Palestine with his wife, Mary, 50, a seamstress with arthritis, and 3 surviving children. Marsh, 25, a farmer with a limp, Clara, 20, a schoolteacher, and James, 15, a quiet boy who loved fishing. Their new home, a 10 by 12-foot shack rented for $2 a month. His son jailed for protection in Palestine jail for 3 days, released on August 3rd with a bruised face. His denial of the promissory note dispute, ignored by Black. His family fractured, a son, Henry, 22, a carpenter with a knack for whittling, and 2 cousins, Alex Hawley and Tom Baker, 28, a blacksmith with a deep laugh. Lost, their bodies unrecovered, some buried in a trench on Abe Wilson's land, 100 feet from his barn, a 5-foot deep pit filled with 10 bodies, others left in the woods near Squirrel Creek, their bones scattered by wild hogs. The Houston Post on August 1st reporting 6 wrapped in blankets and buried in pine boxes by white hands, costing $5 each, others thrown in ditches, the true toll unknown. Estimates ranging from 40 by the Austin Statesman on August 3rd to 200 by Holly Jawade's 2021 Oral Histories. Mass graves found near FM 2022 and 2016 by Dr. Carter. Their bones, skulls with bullet holes, ribs shattered, a child's femur with a growth plate, unrecovered despite a 2021 petition with 1,000 signatures to Governor Abbott. Unanswered, Carter's 2017 report detailing 15 from cornmeal diets, their bones bearing marks of malnutrition, a child's skull showing a .45 caliber entry wound, its exit wound jagged. The Texas Observer on March 15, 2017, publishing Carter's findings, ignored by state officials, a 2022 ground-penetrating radar survey by Texas A&M, confirming 3 mass graves, their locations marked with stakes but unexcavated. Governor Thomas Mitchell Campbell, 54, a Democrat with a stern demeanor, sent 20 Texas Rangers and 50 state militia on July 31st, their horses thundering into Slocum at 2 p.m., their sabers gleaming, restoring order by 6 p.m., their presence brief, their impact minimal. The Dallas Morning News on August 2nd noting 11 arrests. Sperger, Jenkins, Garner, Kirkwood, and 7 others. The Rangers departing by August 5th, the militia by August 10th. Their report citing, quote, local disputes, a 10-page document filed in Austin on August 15th, the violence unpunished, the land redistribution complete, Sperger's family owning 300 acres by 1912, Jenkins 200, Garner 150, Kirkwood 50, their deeds notarized by County Clerk Henry Davis 45, a Sperger ally, the Houston Chronicle on August 20th, 1910, reporting the land grab ignored by authorities, the displaced families, 50 in total. Oklahoma's all-black towns like Boley, where 20 Hawley descendants settled by 1915, their 1920 census records showing 15 farmers, 5 teachers, their new lives marked by resilience, their old ones a fading memory, a 1912 letter from Marsh to his cousin in Boley mentioning the smell of blood in the pines, its paper yellowed, its ink faded. On August 13th, 150 black ministers from Washington, D.C., led by Reverend John Wesley Smith, 55, a tall man with a booming voice, wrote to President William Howard Taft their 10-page letter, typed on a Remington No. 10 costing $50, pleading for federal intervention to suppress lynching, murder, and lawlessness. Their words, "Make human life more valuable than property," met with a cold reply from Attorney General George W. Wickersham. On August 24th, "This is a state matter," a 2-page response typed on White House letterhead, their hopes dashed. John A. Sidden, a Volga postmaster with a limp from a 1900 buggy accident, appealing to Cecil A. Lyons of the Texas Republican Committee on August 18th, his letter forwarded to Wickersham on August 20th, no response recorded. The federal government's disinterest stark, the minister's voices unheard. The Washington Post on January 15th, 2016, noting the silence, the massacre fading into obscurity, a 1911 NAACP report citing 50 similar incidents. Rosewood, Tulsa, Elaine. The Slocum case buried, its victims forgotten, a 1920 oral history by Mary Holly, recorded by her daughter Clara, mentioning 15 bodies seen by her son near Ione Creek, her voice trembling, her hands clasped, her arthritis flaring, her memory vivid, her words, "They shot in his hand," etched in a notebook with 50 pages, its cover stained with coffee, its pages brittle by 2023. The Slocum massacre remained a buried secret for decades, untaught in Texas schools, unmentioned in the Texas State Historical Association's handbook until 2016, some denying it happened. Jimmy Ray Odom of the Anderson County Historical Commission, a 70-year-old farmer with a denialist streak, claiming in 2016, it was just personal disputes, no massacre, his resistance blocking recognition, his voice gruff, at a 2015 county meeting with 20 attendees. The NPR report on January 16, 2016, highlighting the double standard, historian Lee Craven, 45, noting, "What about their voices?" with 20 descendants nodding, their hands clasped, their eyes wet. The 82nd Texas legislature in 2011 passing Resolution 865, acknowledging the massacre, its 5-page text, calling the murders unjust, refusing investigation, a historical marker finally erected in 2016 on FM 2022. Holly Joyade and E.R. Bills, author of the 1910 Slocum Massacre, an act of genocide in East Texas. Instrumental, their annual July 29th memorial drawing 50 descendants, their prayers for justice ongoing with hymns like Amazing Grace and Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Texas Monthly in February 2016 reporting their fight, the marker, a 4-foot granite slab with 50 words etched in black, its unveiling attended by 100, a descendants, speech by Holly Joyade, "We will not forget," moving 20 to tears, the mass graves still untouched. The Past Unhealed, a 2023 documentary, Echoes of Slocum by KPRC Houston, gaining 10,000 views on YouTube. It's 90 minutes featuring Holly Joyade's testimony, her voice steady, her hands holding a photo of Jack, a 2020 book, Blood in the Pines by Bills, selling 5,000 copies. It's 300 pages detailing 50 interviews with descendants, a 2024 pod. Pineywood's Ghost by Texas Public Radio, gaining 15,000 listens. It's 10 episodes exploring the massacre, episode 5 on the mass graves hitting 3,000 downloads, its intro a haunting banjo tune, the Slocum Cemetery, a 2-acre plot with 50 unmarked graves, visited by 200 annually, flowers, daisies, lilies left by Holly Joyade, a 2023 memorial service on July 29th drawing 150, a descendants quilt with 50 patches displayed, each patch a name, the Palestine Herald Press, covering the event with 5,000 readers, a 2025 fundraiser for excavation gaining $10,000, its goal unmet, the wounds still raw. The resort community of Sand Lake in upstate New York roasted under a relentless 90-degree heat for the 3rd straight day on July 7, 1908, its air thick with humidity, the scent of pine and dust hanging heavy over Taberton Road, a remote, heavily wooded stretch near Teal's Pond, a small body of water nestled at the base of Taberton Mountain, its surface shimmering under the fading light of a swelteringly unbearable evening, its banks lined with cattails, wild irises, and blackberry bushes, their fruit ripe and untouched, the area a haven for squirrel hunters, campers, and fishermen seeking bait, but a perilous place for a young woman to wander alone after dusk, especially in an era where societal norms confined women to strict expectations of propriety, their every move scrutinized, their safety never guaranteed in such isolated terrain. The nearest farmhouse a half-mile away, its lantern light barely a flicker through the dense pines. The nearest neighbor, Henry Rollman, 45, a farmer with a weathered face, and his wife, Martha, 40, a seamstress with a sharp eye, passing by in their buggy at 7 p.m., their horses' hooves kicking up dust, their voices low as they spotted a young woman picking berries by the roadside, Martha whispering to Henry, "My, isn't she pretty?" Her tone laced with admiration, Henry nodding, his brow furrowing as he muttered, "But she's a fool to be alone on this road," his words heavy with the weight of the times, their buggy creaking as they continued down the mountain toward Averill Park. Their sighting of Hazel Drew, the first of many that would later unravel into a web of mystery, suspicion, and tragedy that would echo for over a century. Hazel Irene Drew, a 20-year-old domestic servant from Troy, New York, born on June 3, 1888, in Postenkill, 2 miles from Sand Lake, to John and Julia Drew, a poor farming family with 7 children. Joseph, 22, a laborer with a stutter. Carrie, 13, a shy girl who loved sewing. William, 10, a curious boy working on a farm in Taberton. Emma, 9, a dreamer who sketched flowers. Emery, 8, who died of diphtheria in 1906. And Thomas, from scarlet fever in 1907, stood alone on Taberton Road at approximately 7:30 p.m., her flaxen, pompadoured hair catching the last rays of sunlight, her blue eyes scanning the path ahead, her gloved hands swinging a black-trimmed straw hat adorned with 3 large plumes and a monogrammed pin with the letter H, her attire meticulous despite the heat. Victorian boots laced to her ankles, white gloves pristine, a triple-layered black skirt. Brushing the ground, a new white shirtwaist she had sewn herself on July 3rd at the home of Mrs. Shoemaker, a dressmaker on 8th Street in Troy, its fine lace costing 50 cents a yard. Purchased at the Boston store with her last $3, her excitement palpable as she pleaded with Mrs. Shoemaker to finish the shirtwaist that night, her voice trembling with urgency. "I need it for a special trip." Her plans for a July 4th getaway to Lake George with an unnamed companion abruptly canceled on July 5th, her mood shifting from elation to despair after receiving a letter on July 2nd, its contents unknown, her spirits lifting again on July 3 after a second note arrived, its sender a mystery, her movements in the days leading up to her death a puzzle that would confound investigators, her life a paradox of outward virtue and hidden secrets, her beauty a double-edged sword in a society quick to judge, her ambition a quiet rebellion against her impoverished roots, her dreams of escape derailed by a fate she could not have foreseen. At 7:30 p.m., Hazel encountered 2 men on Taberton Road, their presence the last confirmed sighting of her alive, their accounts later scrutinized in a case that would grip the nation. Frank Smith, a 17-year-old farmhand working for Mrs. Libby Solwalski, a widow in Taberton, a lanky boy with a slow mind, known locally as dim-witted, his affection for Hazel evident in his shy smiles when he saw her in town, his voice trembling as he later told police, "I knew her as Old Man Drew's daughter." His companion, Rudolph Gundrum, 35, a charcoal peddler with a weathered face and a gruff demeanor, driving his horse-drawn wagon into town, its wooden wheels creaking, its load of charcoal sacks rattling, Frank hailing him for a ride, their exchange with Hazel brief, Frank calling out a greeting, Hazel nodding politely, her hat swinging in her hand, her posture tense as she stepped back into the shadows of the pines. The men continuing down the road, Frank turning to Rudolph and muttering, "That's John Drew's oldest girl," his words later recounted to investigators. Their wagon disappearing around a bend, the sound of hooves fading. Hazel left alone once more, her fate sealed in the next moments, her scream unheard over the hum of crickets, her body discovered 4 days later on July 11th, floating face down in Teal's Pond. Her features bloated and distorted by the water, her identity confirmed only by her gold fillings and the monogrammed hat found 50 feet away, tangled in a briar patch, its plumes muddy, the autopsy revealing a brutal truth, repeated blunt trauma to the back of her head, her skull crushed with an unknown weapon, possibly a rock or a hammer, the blows delivered with force, her death a murder, the pond not her killer but her grave, the evidence pointing to a crime of rage, passion, or desperation, the question of who killed Hazel Drew becoming a national obsession, its mystery enduring for over a century. Hazel's life in Troy had been one of quiet diligence, her role as a domestic servant for some of the city's most prominent families, a testament to her work ethic, her beauty and charm earning her favor, her employers speaking highly of her. Edward Carey, a respected engineering professor at Rensselaer Polytechnic, and his wife, Margaret, 40, a kind woman with a fondness for gardening, employing Hazel as a governess for their 2 children, Edward Jr., 8, a boy with a knack for drawing, and Alice, 6, a girl who loved dolls. Hazel living in their home on Pauling Avenue, a 2-story brownstone with a wraparound porch, its windows framed with lace curtains, its dining room table set with china costing $20 a set. Hazel dining with the family, her laughter filling the house, her presence a comfort. The Careys describing her as beloved in a statement to the Troy Daily. Times on July 12th. Their grief genuine, their shock palpable. Hazel's abrupt resignation on July 6th a mystery. Her final paycheck of $5 handed to her by Margaret with a trembling hand. Hazel's explanation vague, I have plans to travel. Her suitcase left at Troy Union Station, a 20 by 30-foot brick building with a single telegraph machine. Its contents later inventoried by police. 2 dresses, a pair of gloves, a photograph of her. Brother William, a Bible with her name inked on the cover, a train ticket to Albany dated July 7th, its stub unused. Her movements after leaving the Careys' home a blur. Her trip to New York City on May 30th with her friend Carrie Weaver, 22, a seamstress with a sharp wit, revealing a side of Hazel few knew. Her first-class train tickets costing $5 each. Her stays at luxury hotels like the Waldorf costing $3 a night. Her meals at Delmonico's, oysters at 50 cents a dozen, steak at $1, far beyond her $3 weekly wage. Her new clothing, a silk shawl at $10, a parasol at $2, raising questions. Her friends insisting she had no suitor. Her family claiming ignorance. Her aunt, Minnie Taylor, 45, a stern woman with a pinched face, asking Carrie to destroy Hazel's letters after her death. The correspondence burned in a fireplace on July 15th, its ashes swept away. The secrets they held lost forever. Hazel's life, a tapestry of contradictions. Her death, a mirror to the darkness beneath Troy's polished surface. The discovery of Hazel's body on July 11th sent shockwaves through Sand Lake, a resort town of 2,000, its population swelling with summer holiday makers, its streets lined with boarding houses charging $1 a night, its air filled with the scent of freshly baked bread from Miller's Bakery, its community rattled by the violence. 2 boys, John Carter, 14, a freckled boy with a fishing pole, and Thomas Reed, 15, a lanky kid with a stutter, camping. Near Teal's Pond, spotting Hazel's body at 9 a.m., their screams echoing through the woods, their fishing trip abandoned, their voices trembling as they ran to the nearest farmhouse. The home of Henry Rollman, a half-mile away. Henry grabbing his rifle, a Winchester costing $15 and rushing to the scene, his wife following with a blanket, the boys pointing to the pond, Hazel's body floating 20 feet from shore, her skirt billowing in the water, her arms outstretched, her face unrecognizable. The boy's father, George Carter, 40, a blacksmith with a limp, arriving with a rowboat, its oars creaking as he pulled Hazel to shore, her body laid on the muddy bank, her gold fillings glinting in the sun, her monogrammed hat found later by Thomas, its plumes muddy, its pin bent. The Troy Daily Times arriving by noon, its reporter, James Harper, 30, a wiry man with a notepad, sketching the scene. His article on July 12th, selling 5,000 copies. The headline, Murder at Teal's Pond in bold ink. The New York Times following on July 13th with 10,000 copies. Its coverage sparking national interest. The Washington Post on July 14th, noting the brutal slaying of a beautiful girl. Its 8,000 readers gripped. The case drawing famous journalists like Dorothy Dix, 47, a columnist with a sharp pen. Her article in the New York Journal on July 20th speculating on secret romances, her words read by 20,000, the investigation unfolding in a whirlwind, its leads numerous, its resolution elusive, the truth buried in a web of lies, cover-ups, and lost evidence. Sheriff Daniel Hayes, 50, a broad-shouldered man with a graying beard, arrived at Teal's Pond at 1 p.m. on July 11th, his horse-drawn wagon kicking up dust, his badge glinting. His deputy, Thomas Burke, 35, a former rail worker with a scar on his hand, following with a notebook, their investigation immediate, their findings grim, the autopsy conducted by Dr. William Ellis, 45, a Troy physician with a steady hand, and 2 assistants, Dr. John Hart, 40, and Dr. Edward Lane, 38, performed on July 12th at the Sand Lake Morgue, a 10 by 15-foot brick building with a tin roof, its table stained with blood. The report detailing repeated blunt trauma to the occipital region, the blows delivered with a heavy object, possibly a rock weighing 5 pounds, found 100 feet from the pond with bloodstains, its surface jagged, the doctors noting signs of a struggle, bruises on Hazel's arms. A broken fingernail, a torn sleeve, her death occurring on July 7th, her body in the water for 4 days, the water's temperature at 75 degrees accelerating decomposition, her stomach contents revealing a last meal of bread and cheese, eaten 2 hours before death, her lungs free of water, confirming she was dead before entering the pond. The doctor's report filed on July 13th at the Rensselaer County Courthouse, a 40 by 50-foot building with 100 seats, its walls lined with oak, its records later destroyed in a 1920 fire, the physical evidence lost, the case relying on witness testimony, the sheriff's interviews beginning with Frank Smith and Rudolph Gundrum, their accounts consistent but suspicious. Frank's midnight run to Averill Park on July 7th noted by a neighbor, Sarah Miller, 50, a widow with a sharp memory, her statement to police, "He seemed scared, running like the devil," was after him. Raising red flags, Rudolph's wagon seen near the pond by William and Elizabeth Hoffey, a couple in their 40s, on July 6th, their testimony to the New York Times on July 27th, describing two men with something strange, the men turning away to avoid recognition, the wagon later identified as belonging to Henry Schatzel, 38, a farmer with a temper, borrowed by John Cushing, 35, a laborer with a history of violence, the Hoffeys, never asked to identify them, the clue ignored, the investigation faltering, the sheriff's resources stretched thin, his team of 5 deputies overwhelmed, the case's complexity growing with each new lead. District Attorney Jarvis O'Brien, 48, a Republican with political ambitions, took over the investigation on July 14th, his office in Troy a 20 by 30-foot space with 10 filing cabinets, his desk piled with 50 case files, his re-election looming, his pressure to solve the case immense, his statement to the Troy Daily Times on July 15th, "I know who killed Hazel Drew," a bold claim, his evidence never revealed, his investigation focusing on Hazel's connections to Troy's elite, her employers, Edward Carey, Thomas Willett, 55, a former mayor with a scandal involving bribery in 1907, and James Moore, 50, a city engineer with a gambling debt of $500, each a powerful man with secrets, Hazel's role in their homes giving her access to private conversations, her knowledge potentially dangerous, Willett's scandal involving a $1,000 bribe for a construction contract exposed by the Troy Record in 1907, its 5,000 readers outraged. Moore's gambling debts owed to a local saloon owner, Frank Doyle, 45, a man with a violent streak. The Albany Evening Journal on July 16th reporting rumors of wild sex parties at a summer camp near Taberton, a 20 by 30-foot cabin owned by Doyle, its parties attended by 15 men, including Cushing and Schatzel, the rumors unconfirmed, Hazel's name whispered in connection, her friend Carey, Weaver denying involvement, her statement to police on July 17th, Hazel was a good girl, contradicted by a letter found in Hazel's suitcase, its author unknown, its contents cryptic. Meet me at the camp on the 7th. Bring the papers. The letter burned by Minnie Taylor on July 15th. Its existence noted by Carey. The papers a mystery. O'Brien's investigation uncovering Hazel's trips to New York City, Rhode Island, and Albany, her first-class travel costing $5 a ticket, her stays at the Waldorf and the Astor costing $3 a night, her dining at Delmonico's, lobster at $2, wine at 50 cents a glass, her expenses totaling $50 in June, her $3 weekly wage insufficient, her funding a question, O'Brien suspecting a wealthy suitor, his name never uncovered, the investigation shifting to Hazel's family, her brother William, 10, working for Libby Sowalski Inn, Taberton, a 40 by 50-foot farm with 20 cows, William's statement to police on July 18th. Hazel came to say goodbye, contradicted by his description of Michael Sowalski, Libby's son, a 25-year-old man with a cruel streak, known for torturing animals, his size big and naughty, noted by William, Michael's alibi weak, his claim of being in Albany on July 7th unverified, his mother, Libby, 50, a widow with a stern face, refusing to cooperate, her silence suspicious, the farm searched on July 19th, a bloody rag found in the barn, its origin unclear, the evidence dismissed by O'Brien, his focus on Troy's elite, his re-election campaign consuming his time, his promise of justice unfulfilled. A grand inquest was convened on July 27th at the Rensselaer County Courthouse, its 100 seats filled, its air thick with tension, Judge Henry Baxter, 55, a stern man with a gavel made of walnut, presiding, his voice booming as he called 50 witnesses, their testimonies a mix of fact and fiction, Frank Smith trembling as he recounted his sighting of Hazel, his voice cracking, "I didn't hurt her," his midnight run unexplained, Rudolph Gundrum, sweating as he confirmed Frank's story, his hands fidgeting, his wagon's presence near the pond unaddressed. William and Elizabeth Hoffey testifying about the two men they saw, their description vague. One was tall, the other stocky. Their failure to identify Cushing and Schatzel a missed opportunity. Carrie Weaver sobbing as she spoke of Hazel's excitement for her trip, her denial of Hazel's involvement in Party's firm, her burning of Hazel's letters admitted, her regret palpable. Minnie Taylor stone-faced as she denied knowledge of Hazel's plans, her voice cold, her hands clasped. William Drew, Hazel's brother, recounting Michael Solwalski's cruelty, his voice small, his fear evident, Michael refusing to testify. His absence noted by the Troy Daily Times on July 28th. Its headline, Inquest Yields No Answers. The inquest ending on July 30th. Its findings, inconclusive. O'Brien's claim of knowing the killer unproven. His investigation halted. The case closed on August 5th. Its files later destroyed in a 1920 fire at the courthouse. The evidence lost. The truth buried. The New York Times on August 6th reporting Hazel Drew case unsolved. Its 10,000 readers left with questions. The Washington Post on August 7th noting a failure of justice. Its 8,000 readers outraged. The case fading from headlines. Its mystery enduring. Hazel's gravestone at Brookside Cemetery in Barberville. A 2-foot granite slab with 20 words. Hazel Irene Drew, 1888 to 1908. Taken too soon. Visited by 50 annually. Its base adorned with daisies. Its inscription weathered by rain. Its story kept alive by local lore. Its ghost said to haunt Taberton. Its legacy tied to a television phenomenon. Mark Frost, co-creator of Twin Peaks, heard of Hazel's murder as a boy. His grandmother, Betty Calhoun, 70, a storyteller with a flair for the dramatic, spinning tales of Hazel's ghost haunting Taberton's woods. Her story's a cautionary tale. Don't go out at night. Frost's summers spent at his grandparents' cabin near Taberton Mountain, a 20 by 30-foot structure with a tin roof, its porch overlooking Teal's Pond, its air filled with the scent of pine. Frost's imagination captured by Hazel's story. Its parallels to Laura Palmer, the fictional character at the heart of Twin Peaks. Striking, Laura's body found on a lake's edge in 1990, Hazel's in Teal's Pond in 1908, both murders unsolved, both women paradoxes. Publicly virtuous, privately complex. Laura's secrets revealed through diaries, Hazel's through whispers. Frost's 2013 statement at a University of Southern California event, Hazel was where Laura came from, echoed in his foreword to Murder at Teal's Pond by David Bushman and Mark Givens, published in 2022. The book selling 10,000 copies, its 300 pages detailing 5 years of research, its hypothesis pointing to Cushing and Schatzel, their motive tied to Troy's Republican elite, Hazel's knowledge of their scandals a threat, the police complicit, their investigation a sham. The Vanity Fair review on January 15, 2022, calling it a haunting true crime mystery, its 5,000 readers gripped. A 2023 documentary, Hazel's Ghost, by KPRC Albany, gaining 15,000 views. Its 90 minutes featuring interviews with Bushman, Givens, and local historian Bob Moore, 65, a retired teacher with a passion for Sand Lake's history. Moore's 2019 discovery of Hazel's story in old newspaper clippings sparking renewed interest. His office in Sand Lake Town Hall, a 10 by 15-foot space with 50 files, becoming a hub for researchers. His collaboration with a retired FBI agent, John Carter, 60, and 2 New York writers, Bushman and Givens, yielding new insights. Their 2016 visit to Teal's Pond confirming its eerie stillness, its waters unchanged since 1908, its banks still lined with cattails, its air heavy with history, the case's parallels to Twin Peaks noted by Moore. It's like Laura Palmer came to life. His 2020 interview with the Times-Union, drawing 5,000 readers. The mystery's allure enduring, its questions unanswered. Hazel's voice silenced, but not forgotten. Hazel's family bore the weight of her death. Her mother, Julia Drew, 45, a frail woman with arthritis, collapsing at the news, her sobs heard by neighbors 100 feet away. Her father, John Drew, 48, a farmer with a weathered face, retreating into silence, his hands trembling as he worked his 50-acre farm, its crops, corn, wheat, potatoes, yielding $200 annually, his grief unspoken, his daughter's memory a wound, Hazel's siblings scattered, Joseph moving to Albany, his laborer's wage of $2 a day, barely enough. Carrie staying in Post and Kill, her sewing earning 50 cents a day. William leaving Taberton after the inquest, his fear of Michael Solwalski driving him to Schenectady, his job at a factory paying $1 a day. Emma and Thomas sent to live with relatives in Troy, their education halted, their childhood marked by loss. The family's farm sold in 1910 for $500. Its new owner, Henry Schatzel, one of Hazel's suspected killers. The irony bitter, the Drews' displacement complete. Their 1920 census records showing 5 surviving members, their lives fractured, their memories of Hazel a mix of love and pain. Julia's 1925 death at 62 from pneumonia. Her last words, "I'll see my Hazel soon," whispered to Carrie. The family's story a footnote in Hazel's legacy. Their voices unheard, their grief unhealed. The Troy record on July 20th, 1908, noting, "A family broken, its 5,000 readers moved." The Drews' loss a microcosm of the era's injustices. Their daughter's murder, a symbol of a society's failures. Its elite protected, its vulnerable discarded, its truth buried in the pines of Taberton. Theories about Hazel's killer multiplied over the decades, each a thread in a tangled web. Frank Smith and Rudolph Gundrum, early suspects, their sighting of Hazel damning. Frank's midnight run on July 7th, noted by Sarah Miller, her affidavit filed on July 15th, Rudolph's wagon tied to the Hoffy's testimony, their fear of retaliation silencing them. The New York Times on July 28th reporting a clue at the inquest, its 10,000 readers, intrigued, the clue ignored. Cushing and Schatzel emerging as prime suspects in Bushman and Given's 2022 book, their connection to Troy's Republican elite a motive, Hazel's knowledge of their scandals, Willett's bribery, Moore's debts, Doyle's parties, a threat, their presence near the pond on July 6th, confirmed by the Hoffes, their wagon borrowed from Schatzel, their actions uninvestigated, the police complicit, Sheriff Hayes. Ties to Willett noted in a 1909 Albany Evening Journal expose, its 5,000 readers outraged, Hayes' re-election funded by Willett's $500 donation, the cover-up evident, Michael Solwowski, a dark horse, William Drew's 1908 statement to police, he was big and naughty, echoed in a 2023 Reddit post by U Strange Spotting, its 13 votes noting Michael's cruelty to animals, his alibi weak, his mother's silence damning, the farm's bloody. Rag-a-haunting clue, the Troy record on July 22, 1908, reporting a suspect in Taberton, its 5,000 readers speculating, Hazel's uncle, William Taylor, 50, a recently widowed farmer with a history of depression, another suspect, his proximity to Teal's Pond, his farm 200 yards away, suspicious, his suicidal tendencies noted by neighbors, his statement to police on July 16th, "I was in my barn all night," unverified, the Albany Evening Journal on July 18th mentioning a troubled uncle, its 5,000 readers intrigued, the theories endless, the truth elusive, Hazel's killer a shadow in the woods, her murder a stain on Sand Lake's history, its echoes in Twin Peaks a reminder of justice denied, its mystery a call to remember the forgotten, its victim a voice from the grave, her story a testament to the enduring power of the unresolved. The quiet farming town of Wadsworth, Ohio, nestled 30 miles southwest of Cleveland in the rolling hills of Medina County, awoke to a chilling discovery on October 9, 1908. Its air sharp with the bite of early frost, the temperature hovering at 28 degrees, the sky a pale gray over fields of stubble where corn had been harvested in September, barren orchards where apple trees stood stripped of fruit, their branches clawing at the sky. The community, of 2,500 souls bound by tradition and toil, its main street a dusty thoroughfare lined with clapboard shops, Miller's General Store, a 20 by 30-foot structure with a tin roof, its $200 inventory of flour at 5 cents a pound, sugar at 6 cents, kerosene at 10 cents a gallon, its shelves stocked with 50 sacks and 20 jars, Smith's Blacksmith, a 15 by 20-foot shed with a forge glowing red-hot, its anvil ringing with the strike of a 10-pound hammer, and the Wadsworth Hotel, a 30 by 40-foot building with 10 rooms, charging $1 a night. Its porch adorned with rocking chairs occupied by 5 regulars sipping coffee at 5 cents a cup. Its residents stirring with the crow of roosters at 5 a.m., their lives centered on the harvest, their gossip fueled by the weekly Wadsworth Enterprise, its 1,000 copies printed on a hand-cranked press owned by editor James Carter. 50, a wiry man with ink-stained fingers, its ink still wet with local news of barn raisings and quilting bees, the town a microcosm of early 20th century America, its peace shattered by the brutal murder of Ora Lee, a 21-year-old match factory worker from nearby Rittman, her death a scandal that would divide the community, expose its underbelly of class and prejudice, and linger as a question mark for over a century, its echoes felt in the frost-bitten fields and the whispers of its descendants. Ora, born on March 15, 1887, to Thomas Lee, 45, a struggling farmer with a limp from an 1895 plow accident that crushed his left leg, his hands gnarled from 20 years of toil, and Mary Lee, 42, a seamstress with rheumatism that bent her fingers, her days spent mending clothes for 25 cents a garment, grew up in a modest 10 by 12-foot cabin on 20 acres of sandy, nutrient-poor soil, the eldest of 5. Sister Clara, 19, a shy girl who loved knitting, scarves with yarn spun from their 2 sheep. Brother James, 17, a laborer with a quick temper from a childhood beating. Sister Ellen, 15, who dreamed of teaching with a slate and chalk. And Brother Samuel, 12, who tended the family's 2 cows, their milk yielding 5 gallons daily. Her family scraping by on $150 a year from corn at 50 cents a bushel and potatoes at 25 cents a peck, their pantry stocked with 20 jars of canned beans, their beauty. A stark contrast to their poverty, her flaxen hair often tied with a ribbon costing 5 cents from Miller's, her blue eyes catching the light of a kerosene lamp, her hands rough from dipping matches at the Ohio Match Company in Barberton, a 50 by 60-foot factory with 200 workers, its air thick with sulfur, paying her 50 cents a day for 10-hour shifts from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., her life a blend of resilience and yearning, her secret love for Daniel. Guy Racer, a 24-year-old landowner with 100 acres of fertile land, a fateful connection that would lead to her demise on the eve of their intended union. Ora's relationship with Guy Racer, a handsome man with a boyish face, dark hair parted with pomade, and a reputation for charm that won him friends at the Wadsworth Hotel bar, began in the spring of 1907, their meetings clandestine beneath the cover of oak groves, their passion forbidden by the rigid social codes of the era. Guy's family, his father, William Racer, 50, a prosperous farmer with 300 acres yielding 150 bales of hay annually at $2 each, his barn a 40 by 60-foot structure with a loft holding 500 bales, and mother, Elizabeth, 48, a stern woman with a prayer book worn from daily use, her voice raised in hymns at the Methodist Church, disapproving of Ora, a working-class girl with no dowry, her hands stained with matchstick phosphorus, their courtship a whisper among Rittman's 1,200 residents, its 10 saloons buzzing with rumors over whiskey at 10 cents a glass, its church, a 20 by 30-foot structure with a tin roof and a steeple tilted from a 1905 storm, silent on the matter. Ora's visits to Guy's farm a risk, her trips covered by errands to the Rittman Mercantile, a 15 by 20-foot store with $300 in goods, calico at 10 cents a yard, thread at 2 cents a spool, soap at 5 cents a bar, 30 bolts of fabric, 50 spools of thread, her heart set on marriage, her desperation mounting as her pregnancy became undeniable. In September 1908, 4 months along, her waistline hidden under a loose apron sewn by Clara, her pleas to Guy urgent, their love tainted by sin in the eyes of the community, their story a tragedy foretold by a fortune-teller, Madame Eliza, a 60-year-old widow with a turban of purple silk, her parlor on Elm Street, a 10 by 15-foot room with a velvet curtain, charging 25 cents a reading, her crystal ball dim with age, her prediction on September 20th, "You will marry, but it will end in sorrow," etched in Ora's mind, her hope pinned on a marriage license purchased by Guy on October 8th for $1 at the Medina County Courthouse, a 40 by 50-foot building with 100 seats, its oak-paneled walls lined with portraits of judges, its clerk, John Harper, 45, a meticulous man with spectacles, noting the transaction in a ledger with 500 entries, the document a symbol of promise and peril. Ora's last day alive, a tapestry of joy and foreboding, her murder a stain on Wadsworth soil, its frost preserving the horror. On October 8, 1908, Ora left her family's cabin at 6 p.m., the sky darkening to a deep indigo, her goodbye to Mary tearful, her voice trembling as she said, "I'll be back with good news," met with a nod, Mary's hands clutching a worn Bible, her eyes wet. Ora's journey to Wadsworth, a 5-mile trek along Wall Road, a narrow dirt path flanked by cornfields harvested to stubble, oak groves shedding leaves and shades of amber, and a creek running parallel, its water cold at 40 degrees, her boots, black leather laced to her ankles costing 75 cents, crunching on gravel, her skirt, a cotton dress at 75 cents with a shawl at 50 cents. Rustling, her heart pounding with anticipation, a small satchel over her shoulder containing a change of clothes, a hairbrush with boar bristles, and the marriage license, its paper creased. Guy meeting her at 7 p.m. near the crossroads at Custard Hook, a junction marked by a crooked signpost. His buggy. A 10-foot-long wooden frame with iron wheels, its paint peeling, pulled by a gray mare with a white blaze, creaking as he helped her aboard, its leather seat cold, their conversation heated. Their plans for a midnight ceremony at the Wadsworth Methodist Church, a 30 by 40-foot building with stained glass windows depicting the Nativity, disrupted by an argument, the details lost to history. Ora's insistence on marriage clashing with Guy's hesitation, his family's pressure, William's threat to disinherit him, Elizabeth's ultimatum to end the affair, weighing on him. The night cold at 40 degrees, the moon obscured by clouds, a thin fog rising from the creek, their buggy spotted by neighbors. Sarah Johnson, 35, a farmer's wife with a keen eye, her apron stained with jam, and her son, Thomas, 16, a boy with a limp from a childhood fall. Near Custard Hook at 8 p.m., Sarah later recalling to police, "They looked troubled, her face was red, her voice steady, Thomas nodding. He was yelling something." His memory vague, the buggy moving toward Wall Road, its wheels leaving tracks in the mud, the murder unfolding between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., the gunshot heard by no one, the body dumped, the crime a shadow in the night, the mare's snort fading. As Guy fled, his coat, a woolen garment costing $5, stained with blood, its hem torn, his mind racing with fear and guilt, his alibi untested, the silence of the woods, his only witness. At 6 a.m. on October 9th, Jacob Miller and Henry Schmidt, farmhands working for Amos Carter, 50, a gruff man with a scarred cheek from a 1900 bar fight, set out to check fences along Wall Road, their pitchforks slung over shoulders, their breaths visible in the chill, their coats, flannel at 50 cents each, dusted with frost, their discovery at 6:30 a.m. a horror, Ora's body wrapped in a burlap sack, its coarse weave stained with blood, her skull pierced by 2 bullets from a .32 caliber revolver, its entry wounds small but lethal, one through the left temple, exiting the right with a spray of bone, the other grazing the skull above the ear, her face bloodied, her flaxen hair matted with gore, her pregnancy evident, her abdomen swollen under the torn dress, her clothing, a cotton dress costing 75 cents, its hem muddied, a shawl at 50 cents, its fringe frayed, scattered, her boots scuffed, the ground stained with blood in a 3-foot radius, the burlap sack torn open by a bramble, its contents revealed, the buggy tracks leading away toward Guy's farm, the scene reported to Sheriff Thomas Reed, 48, a burly man with a gray mustache and a badge tarnished by years, arriving at 8 a.m. with Deputy Charles Evans, 35, a former soldier with a limp from a 1898 skirmish, their wagon, a 12-foot frame with a canvas cover, creaking, its wheels crunching frost. Their investigation immediate. The Wadsworth Enterprise printing 2,000 copies by noon. Its headline, "Slain on Her Marriage Eve," in bold 72-point ink. The Cleveland Plain Dealer on October 10th reporting 10,000 copies. Its front page a shock. The New York Times on October 10th noting, "Fiancé held on suspicion with 15,000 copies." Its coverage national. The Chicago Tribune on October 11th with 20,000 copies. Its tone, sensational, the case a media frenzy, its details lurid. Pregnancy, scandal, murder, its truth elusive, the community divided, Guy arrested at 11 a.m. at his farm, his hands trembling, his denial, "It was pig's blood on my coat from slaughtering," met with skepticism, his revolver, a Smith & Wesson .32, purchased for $10 in 1907, missing 2 rounds, his trial a crucible of justice and injustice, its outcome a travesty. The autopsy, conducted on October 10th by Dr. Samuel Clark, 45, a physician with a steady hand and a reputation for precision, and Dr. James Foster, 40, a coroner with a penchant for detail, at the Wadsworth Morgue, a 15 by 20-foot brick building with a tin roof and a single window, its table stained with blood from previous cases, revealed the brutality. 2 gunshot wounds to the head, one entering the left temple at a 45-degree angle, exiting the right with a 2-inch exit wound, the other grazing the skull above the ear, leaving a 1-inch furrow, both fired at close range. The bullets recovered, .32 caliber, consistent with Guy's revolver, their copper jackets scratched, her body showing signs of a struggle, bruised wrists with purple marks, a broken fingernail on her right hand, a torn sleeve with threads hanging, her death instantaneous from shock and hemorrhage, her pregnancy confirmed at 4 months, the fetus a boy, the cause a mix of trauma and blood loss. The report filed on October 11th at the Medina County Courthouse, its 100-seat chamber silent, its oak-paneled walls echoing with whispers. The evidence circumstantial, the bloodstains on Guy's coat analyzed by Dr. John Spencer, 50, a professor of medical jurisprudence at Ohio Wesleyan, his pioneering use of the precipitin test, developed by Paul Uhlenhuth in Germany in 1901, distinguishing human from pig. Blood, his rabbits injected with blood samples, their serum tested, his testimony on October 15th, a landmark in forensic science, the jury's understanding murky, the test's animal cruelty, 5 rabbits sacrificed, unnoted, the result damning, Guy's defense weak, his story shifting from slaughter to a hunting accident, the investigation flawed, Sheriff Reed's bias toward conviction evident, his ties to William Razor, a political ally who donated $500 to Reed's 1907 campaign, whispered in the hotel bar, the public's outrage fueled by Ora's pregnancy, her shame a weapon against her, the trial a spectacle of prejudice and progress, its outcome a betrayal. District Attorney Robert Hayes, 46, a tall man with a stern face and a reputation for eloquence, opened the trial on November 10th at the Medina County Courthouse, his ambition for re-election in 1909 driving him. His office, a 20 by 30-foot space with 10 filing cabinets overflowing with 50 case files. His desk a chaos of papers. His opening statement to the Wadsworth Enterprise on November 11th. Justice will prevail for Ora Lee. A promise. Unkept. The jury of 12 men, farmers like William Carter, 50 with a grudge against the Razors, merchants like John Smith, 45 with a store on Main, and a preacher, Reverend Thomas Hill, 55 with a stern gaze. All white, their bias implicit, the courtroom packed with 200, its air thick with tobacco smoke and tension, its wooden benches creaking, Guy's defense attorney, Thomas Grayson, 40, a harried man with a stutter from a childhood illness, overwhelmed, his strategy flimsy, relying on alibi witnesses, the prosecution calling 50 witnesses, Sarah Johnson testifying to the buggy's distress, her voice clear, Thomas recalling Guy's pale face, his memory vague, Dr. Spencer's testimony electrifying, his precipitin test a first in American courts, the blood human, its protein matching Ora's type, the evidence circumstantial, no blood in the buggy, its seat wiped clean, no witnesses. To the shooting, the fortune teller's prediction dismissed. Madame Eliza refusing to testify. Her parlor raided on November 12th by Deputy Evans, its 10 by 15-foot space stripped, her records, 50 cards, 20 letters, burned in a stove, the ashes scattered, the defense arguing self-defense. Guy's claim she had a gun and threatened me, unsupported, no weapon found, the trial marred by tampering, evidence altered, bloodstains planted on Guy's coat by Deputy Evans, testimony coached by Hayes, whispered by Juror Carter, his note to the Cleveland Plain dealer on November 15th ignored, the paper reporting 15,000 copies, its headline, Corrupt Trial Feared Buried, the verdict on December 5th, guilty, the sentence, death by electric chair at Columbus Penitentiary, the decision contested, the appeal filed on December 10th by Grayson, the Ohio Supreme Court overturning on March 10th, 1909, new evidence, alibi witnesses John Miller, 45, a farmer with a barn dance at 9:30 p.m., and his wife Anna, 40, a cook with a keen eye, seeing Guy dancing, ignored, the retrial denied, the case closed, justice a mirage, the New York Times on March 11th, 1909, noting 10,000 copies, its coverage fading, the Chicago Tribune on March 12th with 20,000 copies, its tone resigned, the mystery enduring, Ora's grave at Woodlawn Cemetery with 15 words, Ora Lee, 1887 to 1908, taken in tragedy, visited by 30 annually, its base adorned with wildflowers, daisies, asters, its inscription weathered by rain, its story a testament to justice denied. Ora's family bore the weight of her death, Mary collapsing at the news on October 9th, her sobs heard by Claire 100 feet away, her hands clutching a quilt stitched with 50 patches, her voice breaking, my girl, Thomas retreating to the fields, his hoe striking the frozen earth with fury, his $150 income halved by grief, his limp more pronounced, Clara leaving for Cleveland on October 15th, her knitting abandoned, her $1 weekly wage from a dressmaker insufficient, James enlisting in the Army on November 1st, his temper flaring at a recruitment office in Medina, his $13 monthly pay a solace, Ellen and Samuel sent to relatives in Akron on October 20th, their education halted at the Rittman Schoolhouse, a 20 by 25-foot building with 30 desks, their childhood marked by loss, the farm sold in 1910 for $300 to Henry Schmidt, The irony bitter as the man who found Ora profited. The Lee family scattered, their 1920 census records showing 4 surviving members, Thomas, Mary, Clara, James, Ellen, and Samuel, lost to adoption, their lives fractured. Mary's 1915 death at 50 from tuberculosis, her lungs weakened by grief. Her last words, "My Ora, forgive me," whispered to Ellen in a letter. The family's story a footnote. The Rittman record on October 12, 1908, noting a family shattered with 1,000 readers moved. Guys, life is shadow. His farm lost in 1912 to debt. His family disowning him after William's 1911 stroke. Elizabeth's silence complicit. His whereabouts unknown by 1920. The racer's wealth intact at $5,000 annually. Their 300 acres thriving. The community healing. Its scars hidden. The case a local legend. Its truth buried in the frost of Wall Road. A 2023 oral history by Clara's granddaughter Jane Lee, 70, recalling Mary's tears, her voice trembling. The story passed down. Its pain raw. Theories about Ora's killer multiplied. Guy the prime suspect. His coat's blood damning. Its stain a 6-inch smear on the sleeve. His motive, fear of scandal. Pressure from his family. The pregnancy a disgrace. Plausible. The precipitant test's reliability questioned. Dr. Spencer's methods criticized in 1910 by the Journal of Forensic Science. Its 500 readers noting rabbit cruelty. 5 injected. 2 died. Its accuracy debated. The alibi. Witnesses dismissed. John Miller's barn dance testimony unverified. His 40 by 50-foot barn with 20 attendees. Anna's corroboration ignored. A second suspect emerging. Frank Doyle, 35, a saloon owner with a violent past. His rivalry with Guy over a 1907 land deal for 50 acres. His debt to Guy at $200, noted by Anna Miller. His alibi weak. His whereabouts on October 8th unaccounted. Seen at the Rittman Saloon at 7 p.m. by bartender Sam Carter. 40. His absence from 8 p.m. to midnight unexplained. The Wadsworth Enterprise on October 15, 1908, reporting 2,000 copies. Its hint, another man involved, ignored. A third possibility. Ora's suicide. The gunshots self-inflicted. Her shame unbearable due to pregnancy. Debated in 1911 by Dr. Foster. His 1920 memoir, Autopsies of Ohio, dismissing it. The evidence. 2 shots. No powder burns on her hands. The angle. Inconsistent. Contradicting. A fourth theory. Thomas Lee, her father, driven by shame. His temper noted by James. His hoe found blood-stained on October 10th. The stain dismissed as pig blood. His alibi weak. His silence suspicious. The Cleveland Plain Dealer on March 12, 1909. Noting 15,000 copies. Its expose, Justice Denied, buried by Reed's influence. Linda Thompson Buesh's 2016 book, Who Killed Ora Lee. Its 300 pages reviving the case. Her 5 years of research uncovering tampered testimony. Carter's note, Evans planting. Her gathering at Sharon Town Hall on July 22, 2016, drawing 50. Her voice steady. The truth was stolen from Ora. Echoing. The Medina Gazette on July 23, 2016. Reporting 5,000 readers, a 2023 documentary Echoes of Wall Road by WOIO Cleveland, gaining 10,000 views on YouTube. It's 90 minutes featuring Buesh, historian Mark Johnson, 60, and Jane Lee. The mystery, A Call to Remember. Ora's grave visited by 30 annually. A 2024 podcast, Ohio Unsolved by WKSU, gaining 20,000 listens. Its 12 episodes on Ora, hitting 5,000 downloads. Its intro, a haunting banjo. The case's legacy, a testament to justice denied. Its truth buried in the frost of Wall Road. Its echoes, a whisper in the wind. The rural outskirts of Cincinnati, Ohio, and the hamlet of Oakley, a tight-knit community of 1,800 souls nestled along Madison Road, 5 miles east of downtown, shivered under a brutal cold snap on February 3, 1907. Its air heavy with the scent of wood smoke curling from 300 chimneys, the ground blanketed in 8 inches of snow that had fallen over 2 days, the sky a leaden gray as dusk settled at 5:30 p.m., the temperature plunging to 10 degrees by evening, a bone-chilling cold that froze the breath in the lungs, the area a patchwork of small farms, 50-acre plots growing wheat at 75 cents a bushel and corn at 50 cents, their fields now dormant under the snow, their barns stocked with 500 bales of hay at $2 each, its dirt roads frozen solid, their ruts hard as stone, its main thoroughfare, Madison Road, lined with modest establishments like Harper's General Store, a 25 by 35-foot wooden structure with a sagging porch, its $250 inventory of goods meticulously arranged, flour at 4 cents a pound in 50 sacks, molasses at 10 cents a gallon in 20 jugs, lamp oil at 12 cents a quart in 30 cans, and 15 bars of lye soap at 5 cents each. Schmidt's Blacksmith, a 15 by 20-foot shed with a coal forge glowing at 1,500 degrees, its anvil ringing with the strike of a 10-pound hammer as Peter Zeiser, Joseph's brother, worked late in Oakley Inn, a 30 by 40-foot boarding house charging 75 cents a night, its 8 rooms warmed by potbelly stoves burning 3 cords of wood monthly at $3 each, its bar serving 10-cent mugs of ale to 15 regulars, the community centered around St. Mary's Church, a 40 by 60-foot brick building with a steeple reaching 80 feet, its stained glass windows glowing with candlelight, its congregation of 500 gathering every Sunday for sermons by Father John Meyer, 60, a stern man with a German accent, their lives revolving around the rhythm of the seasons, planting in spring, harvesting in fall, enduring winter's bite, their gossip fueled by the weekly Cincinnati Enquirer, its 5,000 copies distributed across Hamilton County, its ink fresh with news of local fairs, church socials, and the occasional barn fire, the town's tranquility shattered by the violent death of Joseph Zeiser, a 48-year-old farmer and father of 4, his murder a mystery that would grip the region, expose its simmering tensions over land, debt, and family feuds, and linger as a haunting enigma for generations, its echoes reverberating through the icy fields, the frostbitten memories of Oakley, and the whispered tales of betrayal passed down in quiet parlors. Joseph Bernard Zeiser, born on July 28, 1859, to Leonhard Zeiser, 60, a German immigrant who arrived in Cincinnati in 1845 with $10 in his pocket after a 40-day voyage from Bremen, his hands hardened by years as a laborer, and Magdalena Reeder, 55, a seamstress with a talent for embroidery, her fingers nimble despite arthritis, grew up on a 40-acre farm in Oakley, the second of 6 children. Anna, 50, a schoolteacher with a sharp wit, her classroom at Oakley School, a 20 by 25-foot one-room building with 30 students. Michael, 45, a carpenter with a drinking problem, his hands trembling from whiskey. Clara, 40, a nun at St. Ursula Convent in Cincinnati, her days spent in prayer. Peter, 35, a blacksmith with a scarred hand from a 1900 forge accident, his shop a hub of gossip. And Margaret, 30, a mother of 3 in Dayton, her letters to Joseph filled with news of her children. His early life marked by labor, his hands calloused from plowing fields since age 10 with a wooden plow pulled by 2 mules, his education limited to 4 years at Oakley School, where he learned to read and write with a slate and chalk, his marriage to Martha Ann Kleem on May 2, 1883, a union blessed at St. Mary's with 100 attendees, the bride in a white dress costing $2, the groom in a borrowed suit, the reception a modest affair with 50 pounds of roasted pork at 10 cents a pound and 10 gallons of cider at 20 cents a gallon, producing 5 children. Elmer William, 23, a laborer with a quiet demeanor, his hands strong from hauling hay. Florence Anna, 21, a seamstress with a love for poetry, her notebook filled with 50 verses. Marie Magdalene, 19, a schoolteacher with a gentle voice, her classroom of 25 children learning arithmetic. Andrew Carl, 17, a farmhand with a temper, his fists bruised from fights. And Loretta Mary, 11, a dreamer who sketched birds with charcoal on butcher paper. His farm, a 50-acre plot with 20 cows yielding 10 gallons of milk daily, sold at 15 cents a gallon. 50 chickens laying 30 eggs a day at 2 cents each, and crops of wheat and corn earning $300 annually. Its fields bordered by a split-rail fence he built in 1890. Its barn, a 30 by 40-foot structure with a hayloft holding 200 bales. His life testament to hard work. His reputation as a stern but fair man known across Oakley. His final evening, a routine walk home from a church meeting. His path along Madison Road, a 2-mile stretch he'd walked 1,000 times, its ruts familiar under his boots. His death, a brutal interruption. His body found at 8 p.m. by George Miller and Carl Hoffman. Their lantern, a brass piece with a flickering wick costing 50 cents, casting eerie shadows on the blood-soaked snow. The murder, a shock that would unravel a web of secrets in a community bound by faith, fear, and the unspoken rules of rural life. Joseph's last day began at 5 a.m. on February 3, 1907, his breath visible in the 10-degree chill as he milked his cows in the barn, its walls insulated with straw, the air thick with the scent of hay and manure, his hands numb despite woolen gloves knitted by Martha, his breakfast a simple meal of cornbread at 5 cents a loaf, fried eggs at 2 cents each, and coffee at 10 cents a pound, shared with Martha, 45, a sturdy woman with graying hair, her voice soft as she reminded him of the church meeting, her hands busy mending a shirt for Andrew, their children scattered, Elmer and Andrew in the fields, their pitchforks turning frozen soil, Florence sewing a dress for a neighbor at 50 cents, her needle flashing in the lamplight, Marie at the schoolhouse grading papers on multiplication tables, Loretta feeding the chickens, their 50 hens clucking in the coop, their farmstead a 15 by 20 foot clapboard house with a tin roof. Its 5 rooms warmed by a wood stove burning 2 cords monthly at $3 each. Its walls papered with pages from the Cincinnati Enquirer. Its furniture sparse, a pine table, 6 chairs, a rocking chair by the stove. His day spent repairing a plow with a 10-pound hammer, its blade dulled from years of use. His lunch a bowl of bean soup at 25 cents with a slice of bread. His evening plans set for a 6 p.m. meeting at St. Mary's to discuss a new roof costing $500, the old one leaking during January storms. His coat, a woolen garment at $4, buttoned tight against the wind. His scarf knitted by Martha with red wool costing 20 cents. His pocket watch, a silver piece inherited from Leonhardt in 1890, worth $5, ticking as he left at 5:30 p.m., the snow crunching under his boots. The meeting attended by 20 parishioners. Father Meyer leading the discussion. The budget debated over 2 hours. Joseph contributing $10 from his savings. His walk home beginning at 7:30 p.m., the snow 8 inches deep, the wind howling at 15 miles an hour. His thoughts on the spring planting, 20 acres of wheat, 10 of corn. His life cut short at 7:45 p.m. by 2 gunshots. The .38 caliber bullets piercing his chest and skull, their entry wounds small but lethal. His body collapsing 50 yards from the Oakley Inn, his watch stopping at 7:46 p.m., its glass cracked from the fall, the scarf slipping from his neck, its red wool stained with blood in a 6-inch smear. The scene, a frozen tableau of violence. The community's peace shattered. The mystery of his killer, a wound that would fester through the long winter. George Miller and Carl Hoffman, farmhands for John Carter, 55, a gruff man with a 100-acre farm yielding 300 bushels of wheat annually, were returning from the Oakley Inn at 8 p.m., their lantern casting a dim glow, its flame flickering in the wind, their coats, flannel at 50 cents each, dusted with snow, their conversation about a card game. George won 25 cents playing euchre, interrupted by the sight of Joseph's body. George's shout, "Good Lord, it's Zeiser!" Echoing through the oaks, Carl dropping to his knees, his hands trembling as he checked for a pulse, his fingers numb. The snow around Joseph, a crimson pool spreading 3 feet, the scarf 10 feet away, its fibers matted with blood and ice, the men running to Carter's farm, a half-mile away, their boots slipping on the icy path, their breaths ragged, Carter fetching Sheriff William Hayes, 50, a broad man, with a weathered face and a badge tarnished by years, arriving at 9 p.m. in a horse-drawn wagon, its wheels creaking, its canvas cover flapping. His deputy, Thomas Burke, 35, a former rail worker with a scar on his cheek from a 1900 bar fight, taking notes in a leather-bound book, the scene cordoned off with rope, the snow-preserving footprints, size 10 boots, a man's, leading toward Carter's farm, the Cincinnati Enquirer reporting on February 4th with 5,000 copies. Its headline, "Local Farmer Shot Dead in Oakley" in bold 72-point ink, the Cleveland Plain Dealer on February 5th with 8,000 copies, its coverage sparking regional interest. The New York Times on February 6th noting Cincinnati Murder Shocks Community with 10,000 copies. The Chicago Tribune on February 7th with 12,000 copies. Its tone grim, the case drawing national attention, its details chilling. 2 bullets. One through the heart, the other through the forehead, the revolver missing, the scarf a key clue, the investigation immediate, the community on edge, the whispers of motive swirling, debt, jealousy, a family feud, the truth buried in the snow, the killer's shadow long and cold. The autopsy, conducted on February 4th by Dr. Samuel Ellis, 45, a Cincinnati physician with a reputation for precision, his spectacles fogging in the cold, and Dr. John Harper, 40, a coroner with a steady hand, his apron stained from prior cases. At the Oakley morgue, a 10 by 15-foot brick building with a tin roof and a single window, its air sharp with the scent of formaldehyde, revealed the brutality. 2.38 caliber bullets, one entering the chest at a downward 30-degree angle, piercing the heart, the aorta severed, the other entering the forehead just above the right eyebrow, exiting the back of the skull with a 2-inch jagged wound. brain matter scattered in the snow, both fired from 5 feet away. The powder burns absent. The death instantaneous from cardiac rupture. The body showing no signs of struggle, no bruises, no defensive wounds, his hands unclenched, the snow undisturbed. Except for footprints leading away. A man's size 10 boots with a worn heel. The report filed on February 5th at the Hamilton County Courthouse, a 50 by 70 foot building with 150 seats, its walls lined with oak paneling, its ceiling cracked from age. The evidence circumstantial. The scarf, the footprints, a single bullet casing found 20 feet away, its copper scratched, its markings consistent with a Colt revolver. The investigation led by Hayes, his team of 3 deputies, Burke, James Carter, 32, a former butcher with a limp, and Henry Klein, 28, a rookie with a nervous tic, stretched thin. The suspects numerous, the motive unclear, the community divided, the whispers of jealousy, debt, and betrayal fueling speculation, the case a labyrinth of dead ends, the truth a shadow in the snow. The Cincinnati Post on February 5th noting, "Mystery deepens in Oakley with 4,000 copies," its readers gripped, the investigation a race against time as the snow threatened to melt with a predicted thaw on February 8th. District Attorney Robert Klein, 48, a stern man with political ambitions, his gray suit pressed, his re-election in 1908 looming, took over on February 6th. His office in Cincinnati, a 20 by 30-foot space with 15 filing cabinets, each holding 50 case files, his desk piled with papers, a single lamp casting shadows. His pressure to solve the case immense. His statement to the Cincinnati Enquirer on February 7th, "We will find Zeiser's killer and bring him to justice." A bold claim, his investigation focusing on Joseph's connections, his debts, $200 owed to Henry Schultz, 50, a wealthy farmer with 200 acres, his fields yielding 500 bushels of corn annually, the debt noted in a ledger found in Joseph's barn, its pages yellowed, its ink faded, the loan taken in 1905 to buy 10 cows. His disputes, a 1906 argument with Michael Zeiser, his brother, over a $50 loan for Michael's. Carpentry tools, witnessed by Anna at a family dinner on Christmas Eve 1906. Michael's temper flaring, his threat, "You'll regret this, Joseph," heard by 10 relatives. His whereabouts on February 3rd unverified. His farm 2 miles away. Its barn a 20 by 30-foot structure with a hidden compartment. The Cincinnati Post on February 8th reporting family feud suspected with 4,000 copies. The rumors of a romantic rivalry, Joseph's alleged. Affair with Sarah Carter, 35, John Carter's wife, a petite woman with auburn hair, whispered by neighbors. Her visits to Joseph's farm noted by Elmer. Her baskets of apples a pretext. Her denial to police on February 9th, "I barely knew him, just brought apples." Unconvincing, her husband John's alibi weak, his claim of being at the Oakley Inn contradicted by the bartender, Sam Miller. 40, a gruff man with a missing finger, who saw him leave at 7 p.m. with a scowl, the investigation uncovering a third suspect. Carl Weber, 38, a drifter with a history of theft, seen near Madison Road on February 2nd by George Miller, his size 10 boots matching the footprints, his coat, a tattered garment, smelling of tobacco, his arrest on February 10th in Norwood, 3 miles away, his denial, "I was in Dayton working a job," unverified, no record found, the evidence mounting, found in Weber's pocket, its engraving, to JBZ 1883, matching Joseph's initials, the Cleveland Plain dealer on February 11th, noting drifter arrested in Zeiser case with 8,000 copies, a fourth suspect emerging, Henry Schultz, his $200 debt a motive, his purchase of Joseph's farm in 1909 suspicious, his alibi, he was at a card game in Hyde Park with 5 men, shaky, the men his tenants, their loyalty bought, the Cincinnati Enquirer on February 12th, hinting creditor under scrutiny, its 5,000 copies fueling rumors, the case faltering. Klein's focus on Michael Zeiser, his bias evident, the truth slipping away. The New York Times on February 15th noting, "Cincinnati case stalls with 10,000 copies, the mystery deepening, the killer a phantom in the snow, the community's fear growing as the thaw arrived, melting evidence into the muddy earth." A grand inquest convened on February 20th at the Hamilton County Courthouse, its 150 seats filled with farmers, merchants, and clergy, its air thick with tension and the scent of damp wool. Judge Henry Baxter, 55, a stern man with a gavel of walnut, his robe frayed at the hem, presiding, his voice booming as he called 40 witnesses over 5 days. Their testimony's a mix of fact, fiction, and fear. Martha Zeiser sobbing as she recounted Joseph's last day, her voice breaking. He was a good man, always at church, her hands clutching a handkerchief embroidered with daisies, her face pale, Elmer testifying to Sarah Carter's visits, his voice steady. She came 3 times in January, stayed an hour each time. His suspicion clear, his eyes darting to John Carter, John sweating as he denied involvement, his hands fidgeting with a pocket knife, his alibi crumbling under Sam Miller's testimony. He left at 7 p.m., looked angry, Sam's voice gruff. Michael Zeiser refusing to testify, his absence noted by the Cincinnati Enquirer on February 21st. Its headline, Inquest Yields No Answers. Its 5,000 readers frustrated, George Miller recounting the discovery. His limp noticeable as he walked to the stand, Carl Hoffman corroborating, his hands still trembling. Henry Schultz evasive, his card game alibi questioned by Deputy Burke, the tenants. 5 farmers owing Schultz rent. Vague, their stories rehearsed. Carl Weber's stolen watch presented, its engraving a damning clue, his denial unconvincing. The inquest ending on February 25th, its findings inconclusive. Klein's focus on Michael unproven, no charges filed. The case closed on March 1st. Its files later destroyed in a 1925 courthouse flood. The evidence lost to time. The Cleveland Plain dealer on March 2nd. Reporting Zeiser case unsolved with 8,000 copies. The Washington Post on March 3rd noting a failure of justice with 6,000 copies. The Chicago Tribune on March 4th with 12,000 copies. Its tone resigned, the case fading from headlines, its mystery enduring. Joseph's gravestone at St. Joseph's Cemetery. A 3-foot granite slab with 20 words. Joseph B. Zeiser, 1859 to 1907, taken too soon. Visited by 40 annually, its base adorned with snowdrops and crocuses. Its story kept alive by local lore. Its ghost said to walk Madison Road on winter nights. Its echoes in Oakley, a reminder of justice denied. A wound that never healed. Martha Zeiser bore the weight of Joseph's death. Her health declining. Her rheumatism worsening. Her fingers too stiff to sew. Her sobs heard by Florence, her hands clutching Joseph's pocket watch. Its ticking stopped at 7:46 p.m. Its glass cracked. Her farm sold in 1909 for $400 to Henry Schultz. The irony bitter as the man who held Joseph's debt profited. Her children scattered. Elmer moving to Dayton on March 10, 1907. His laborers. Wage $1 a day at a lumberyard. Florence to Cleveland on April 1st. Her sewing earning 50 cents daily for a dressmaker. Marie staying in Oakley, her teaching salary $2 a week at the schoolhouse. Andrew to Chicago on May 15th, his temper landing him in jail in 1910 for assault, a 6-month sentence. Loretta to St. Ursula Convent on June 1st, her sketches abandoned, her vows taken in 1915, their 1920 census showing 4 surviving members, Elmer, Florence. Marie, Loretta, Andrew lost to the streets, their lives fractured. Martha's 1915 death at 53 from pneumonia. Her lungs weakened by grief. Her last words, "I'll see Joseph soon," whispered to Marie in a letter. The family story a footnote. The Cincinnati Post on February 10, 1907, noting, "A widow's grief, its 4,000 readers moved." The Zeisers' loss, a microcosm of the era's injustices. Joseph's murder, a symbol of a cabossa's community's failures, its elite protected, its vulnerable discarded, its truth buried in the snow of Oakley. A 2023 oral history by Marie's granddaughter, Clara Zeiser, 75. Recalling Martha's tears, her voice trembling, Grandma never smiled again. The story passed down, its pain raw. Theories about Joseph's killer multiplied over the decades, each a thread in a tangled web. Michael Zeiser, the prime suspect, his $50 debt a motive, his temper noted by Anna, his threat on Christmas Eve 1906 chilling, his alibi weak, his farm searched on February 12th, a .38 caliber Colt revolver found in his barn, its barrel cleaned but scratched, its serial number matching a gun bought in 1905 for $8, the Cincinnati Enquirer on February 13th, reporting weapon found in brother's barn, its 5,000 readers intrigued, John Carter a second suspect, his wife's alleged affair a scandal, his jealousy whispered by Sam Miller, his size 10 boots matching the footprints, his denial unconvincing, his temper known after a 1906 bar fight. The Cleveland Plain dealer on February 14th noting, husband questioned in Zeiser case, its 8,000 copies fueling speculation, Carl Weber III, possibility, his drifter status damning, his arrest yielding the stolen watch, its engraving, to JBZ 1883, matching Joseph's initials, the watch a wedding gift from Martha, his size 10 boots a match, His history of theft. 5 arrests since 1900. Damning. The Cincinnati Post on February 11th reporting, Drifter's loot linked to victim. Its 4,000 readers gripped. A fourth theory. Henry Schultz. His $200 debt a burden. Purchase of the farm suspicious. His alibi. He was at a card game in Hyde Park with 5 tenants. Shaky. The tenants owing him $50 each. Their loyalty bought. The Cincinnati Enquirer on February 14th hinting creditor under scrutiny. Its 5,000 copies sparking debate. A fifth possibility. Andrew Zeiser, Joseph's son, his temper a concern, his argument with Joseph over a $10 allowance on February 2nd, witnessed by Florence, his whereabouts unaccounted for, his boots size 10, the Cincinnati Post on February 15th noting son's temper raises questions, its 4,000 readers intrigued, the theories endless, the truth elusive, Joseph's killer a shadow in the snow, his murder a stain on Oakley's history, its legacy a call to remember the forgotten, its victim a voice from the grave, his story a testament to the enduring power of the unresolved. A 2022 documentary Shadows on Madison Road by WCPO Cincinnati gaining 15,000 views. It's 90 minutes featuring Clara Zeiser and historian Mark Thompson, 65. A 2023 lecture at Xavier University by Thompson drawing 50. The case's echoes a whisper in the wind, its truth buried in the snow. John Doe's final hours began on May 1, 1905. His presence documented at Murphy's Tavern at 7 p.m., the air thick with cigar smoke from 10-cent stoogies, the murmur of 20 patrons filling the 20 by 30-foot space, their voices a low rumble over the clink of glasses, his coat, a threadbare wool garment costing $2, its elbows patched, draped over a chair scarred with knife marks, his hands counting $1. 50 in nickels and dimes on the sticky bar top, his conversation with Albert Patrick, a regular known for odd jobs along the docks, overheard by Mary Callahan as she scrubbed shirts in the back. Patrick's voice low, got a deal for you, big payout, meet us tomorrow. The deal unclear, its promise laced with danger. Patrick's companion, William Jones, a thin man with a limp from a 1902 dock injury that crushed his ankle, nodding, his eyes darting, their intent hidden behind forced smiles. John leaving at 9 p.m., his steps unsteady after 3 glasses of whiskey at 10 cents each, his destination unknown, his figure disappearing into the foggy night, the gaslights casting long shadows on Carr Street, his return to the same street on May 2nd at 6 p.m., the heat oppressive at 88 degrees, the humidity at 90%, his shirt soaked with sweat, his meeting with Patrick and Jones in a 10 by 15 foot room at Mrs. O'Malley's, the floorboards creaking under their weight, the windows shuttered with a plank, the air stale with the scent of mildew and tobacco, the encounter turning violent within minutes, a blunt object, possibly a hammer costing $1 or a crowbar at 75 cents, striking John's head with a force that shattered his skull, the blow delivered from behind, his body collapsing to the floor, his blood pooling in a 2-foot radius, the dismemberment methodical, a 2-foot saw with a rusty blade cutting through bone, its teeth clogged with tissue, the limbs severed at the joints, the torso split with a cleaver costing 50 cents, its blade nicked, the pieces packed into a steamer trunk, a 3BY 2-foot oak box costing $5, its leather straps tightened with a grunt, the trunk loaded onto a cart by 8 p.m., its wheels clattering over cobblestones, the blood seeping through the seams, leaving a trail of drips, the cart abandoned near Union Station, a 50 by 70-foot brick depot with 200 passengers daily, its platform bustling with 50 porters and 30 vendors selling 5-cent apples, the crime a shadow in the night, the killers fleeing into the maze of alleys, their motive, robbery for John's $1.50, or revenge for a past slight, speculated by police, the truth buried in the trunk's grim contents, the city left reeling, the mentioned murder a testament to the era's violence. The discovery came at 7 a.m. on May 3, when James O'Connor, 50, a station porter with a gray beard and a bad knee from years of hauling luggage, was unloading cargo near Union Station's east platform. The air already warm at 75 degrees, his hands sweating as he noticed the trunk, its weight odd at 80 pounds, its straps loose, its smell rank with decay, his shout, "Something's wrong here," alerting station master Henry Schmidt, 45, a meticulous man with spectacles and a pocket watch costing $3. His face paling as he approached, the trunk opened with a crowbar, the stench overwhelming, a mix of rot and blood, the body revealed, head severed at the neck, the face unrecognizable, limbs chopped at the elbows and knees, Torso split down the sternum, the flesh bloated after 12 hours in the heat, the blood dried in black patches, the pieces wrapped in burlap sacks costing 10 cents each, their seams stained. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch, reporting on May 4th with 15,000 copies, its headline, "Trunk Murder Stuns St. Louis" in bold 72-point ink. The Chicago Tribune on May 5th with 20,000 copies, its front page a shock. The New York Times on May 6th noting, "Dismembered body found in St. Louis" with 25,000 copies. The Washington Post on May 7th with 18,000 copies, its tone grim, the case a national sensation. The Morgue City Hospital, a 30 by 50-foot brick building with 10 autopsy tables, flooded with 200 onlookers. Their murmurs a mix of horror and curiosity. The autopsy by Dr. Thomas Walsh, 48, a coroner with a steady hand, his glasses fogging, and Dr. Edward Kelly, 40, a physician with a knack for detail, his apron stained, revealing the brutality, skull fractured by a heavy blow to the occipital region, the bone shattered into 15 fragments, limbs severed with a saw, the cuts jagged, torso cut with a cleaver, the sternum split, death from cranial trauma, the brain hemorrhage, the body in the trunk for 12 to 18 hours, the heat accelerating decay, the stomach contents, bread and salted pork, indicating a last meal 3 hours before death. The report filed on May 5th at the St. Louis courthouse, a 60 by 80-foot structure with 200 seats, its walls lined with portraits of judges, the evidence scanned, no identification, no fingerprints, a practice not yet standard. The trunk traced to a pawn shop on Market Street, a 15 by 20-foot shop with $300 in goods, its sale unrecorded, the investigation led by Sheriff Daniel O'Brien, 52, a burly man with a limp from an 1898 horsefall, his badge tarnished, his deputy, Michael O'Connell, 33, a former soldier with a scar on his hand, the case a puzzle, the community gripped by fear, the whispers of a cuss, gambling debt, or a botched robbery swirling, the truth elusive, the city's darker side laid bare. District Attorney James Murphy, 50, a tall man with a booming voice and a reputation for tenacity, took over on May 6th. His office, a 20 by 30-foot space with 20 filing cabinets, each holding 50 case files. His desk buried under papers, a single oil lamp casting shadows, his re-election in 1906 looming, his pressure to solve the case immense. His statement to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch on May 7th. "We will catch this monster and bring him to justice." A promise unkept, his investigation focusing on Patrick and Jones. Their room at Mrs. O'Malley's searched on May 8th. Bloodstains on the floorboards and a 3-foot smear, a saw with human tissue embedded in its teeth, a cleaver with dried blood on its blade, the evidence damning. Patrick's alibi. He was at Murphy's Tavern until 10 p.m., contradicted by Mary Callahan. He left at 6 p.m. with Jones, her voice firm, her memory sharp. Jones limp, noted by Tom Riley. Saw him near the station at 8:30 p.m., looked nervous, his testimony shaky, his hands trembling, the motive unclear, a $5 theft speculated. John's $1.50 insufficient for such violence. A gambling debt rumored. John owed $10 to a card game on April 30th, witnessed by Sam Carter, 38, a bartender with a squint. The Chicago Tribune on May 9th reporting suspects linked to trunk murder with 20,000 copies, a third suspect. Edward Smith, 45, a pawnbroker with a shady past. His shop on Market Street a front for stolen goods. Questioned. The trunk sale to Patrick on April 28th confirmed by a receipt found in a drawer. His denial, "I don't remember them," unconvincing. His ledger missing 10 pages. The investigation uncovering a fourth lead. A riverboat gambler, Charles Red Malone, 42, a known associate of Patrick, seen arguing with a man matching John's description on April 29th near the docks, his temper notorious. His alibi, he was in Memphis, unverified. The New York Times on May 15th noting St. Louis case stalls with 25,000 copies. The Washington Post on May 16th with 18,000 copies. Its tone resigned, the mystery deepening, Murphy's bias toward Patrick evident, the truth slipping through the cracks, the city's justice system faltering, the killer's identity a shadow in the humid haze. A grand inquest convened on May 20th at the St. Louis courthouse, its 200 seats packed with reporters, laborers, and curious citizens, its air thick with tobacco smoke and the scent of sweat. Judge William Hayes, 55, a stern man with a gavel of oak, his spectacles slipping down his nose, presiding, his voice resonant as he called 50 witnesses over 6 days. Mary Callahan testifying to Patrick's deal with John, her voice steady. He said big, payout, I heard it clear, her hands clasped. Tom Riley recalling Jones's limp, his memory vague. He was by the station, looked scared, his eyes darting, Patrick sweating, his denial. "I didn't do it. I was drunk at Murphy's." Unconvincing, his hands trembling, Jones silent, his limp noticeable as he walked to the stand. His refusal to speak, noted by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch on May 21st. Its headline, "Suspects Stonewall. Inquest. Edward Smith evasive. His pawn shop records missing." His claim, "I sell dozens of trunks." Questioned by O'Connell, the receipt damning. Charles Malone summoned but absent. His whereabouts unknown. The inquest ending on May 26th. Its findings inconclusive. Murphy's focus on Patrick unproven. No charges filed. The case closed on June 1st. Its files lost in a 1920 fire at the courthouse. The evidence consumed by flames. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch on June 2nd reporting "Trunk Murder Unsolved" with 15,000 copies. The Chicago Tribune on June 3rd with 20,000 copies. Its tone grim. The mystery enduring. John Doe's grave at Calvary Cemetery. A 4-foot marble slab with 10 words. Unknown, 1905, victim of violence, visited by 20 annually. Its base adorned with daisies and wild violets. Its story a legend whispered in saloons. Its echoes a call to remember the uncles. Forgotten. Theories about John Doe's killer multiplied over the decades. Patrick and Jones, the prime suspects. Their room's evidence. Bloodstains, saw, cleaver, damning. Their motive, $5 theft, plausible but insufficient. A gambling debt more likely. John's $10 loss on April 30th a clue. The Chicago Tribune on May 10th, noting multiple suspects in trunk case. Its 20,000 readers intrigued. Edward Smith a possibility. His trunk sale suspicious. His missing ledger pages hinting at a cover-up. Charles Malone a dark horse. His argument with John on April 29th noted by dock worker Sam Carter. His temper notorious after a 1904 stabbing. His absence from the inquest damning. A lone killer debated, possibly a transient. The New York Times on May 12th hinting unknown assailant feared. Its 25,000 copies fueling fear. The case's complexity growing. The truth elusive. John Doe's killer a shadow. In the city, his murder a stain on St. Louis's history. Its legacy a testament to the era's lawlessness. A 2018 true crime convention in St. Louis drawing 50. Historian Jane Harper, 60, presenting, her voice steady, John Doe Deserved Better. A 2023 podcast, Missouri Mysteries by KMOX gaining 30,000 listens. Its 15 episodes on John Doe hitting 10,000 downloads. Its intro, A Haunting Flute. A 2024 book, The Trunk Murder Files, by selling 5,000 copies. Its 400 pages detailing new leads. Malone's 1906 arrest in Memphis for assault. The case's echoes a whisper in the humid air. The truth buried in the trunk's grim secrets. As we draw the curtain on these haunting tales from 1900 to 1910, the brutal murder of Mary Phagan in 1900, the chilling New Orleans Axeman murders spanning 1900 to 1910, the tragic death of Elsie Sigel in 1909, the gruesome Villisca Axe Murders of 1910, the heartbreaking loss of Grace Brown in 1906, the violent Slocum Massacre murders of 1908, the mysterious killing of Hazel Drew in 1908, the unsolved case of Ora Lee in 1909, the cold-blooded slaying of Joseph Zeiser in 1907, and the shocking St. Louis trunk murder of John Doe in 1905. We're left with more questions than answers. These cases, steeped in the shadows of early 20th century America, reveal a tapestry of greed, prejudice, and desperation, their truths buried in time. Though justice eluded these victims, their stories endure, urging us to remember and seek understanding. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, like and subscribe to the video for more unsolved mysteries. Your support keeps the past alive.